produced by The Sound of Violence.
I find myself wanting harm to come to strangers because they can't behave online. And I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to sit here wishing that other people would just die or go away just because they're jerks online. But it's hard not to feel that after a while. You just lose faith. And I didn't want to do that. And so I departed for that reason. And then in addition to the fact that I felt like, you know, I'd gotten to a certain point in my career where this is not something I need to do on the side. But then, you know, one of my MMA fighting, one of their most popular posts ended up being my retirement clip on Instagram, which I didn't realize was a thing. And the comments proved why I left, right? So half the comments were like, who is this? I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And then the other half were like, she lost my respect. And it doesn't matter that she's a good photographer. She lost my respect when she said Black Lives Matter. And I thought, well, this is the reason why I don't want to do this anymore.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. We are an MMA podcast. Talks about the MMA podcasts you should catch, skip, and can't miss each week. I am Pulver, and I am back yet again with my co-host, Griffin. How's it going, man?
Well, that intro clip, I already knew what was going on with that, but that's still sad to kind of see all that.
It's hard to officially hear it, and it will come up a lot on this episode.
Yeah, all I'll say is I just recall I usually don't read comments on social media when it comes to certain content posted, and nothing against MMA fighting. They were just posting, just their content.
Well, and they're one of the biggest outlets, so like they're notoriously going to get all the worst shit.
Reading some of the comments, and I won't say the person's name until later, but it's like, I remember even that reading, this was like months ago, a year ago, you were reading like, who the fuck is this person, shit like that, and it's like, the fuck, dude, like, aren't you here to just hear about MMA?
Well, and like that, you'd see that shit in the A-Side live chat comments, too, where you're like, motherfucker, all you're doing is yelling to the world you don't know about MMA. Like, you should be embarrassed for how you are acting on so many levels. Yeah. So, yeah.
Other than that, I'm all right, man. I am fantastic considering, and I'll be honest right now, I don't care if this is political, the current election results, how they're trending.
I would argue once someone starts legit breaking the democratic process, and just straight up being racist, at that point, I don't think it's political anymore. I think that's just
not. You're absolutely right.
I think that's just literally being a human being type shit. So, yeah. No, I think everyone that's mad that Donald Trump is losing hates democracy. I think that's pretty provable. And I think it's very cute how mad they're getting.
Regardless, if you support Trump because you're outright racist or it helps your business, which is what I've heard from some people, right? It's still,
they don't understand how pandemics work.
The fact that you are submissive in letting democracy fail. That's like a fact.
Well, no, not even submissive. You're actively choosing to help its failure. Like, you're actively choosing against democracy. You're like, oh, don't count ballots, bro. It's like, what the fuck high school did you... No one's ever taken any kind... You never voted for anyone, and you're like...
ASB, going in school, if you did not vote for your friend, you already had a homie that like ran for ASB.
Not even that. It's just like you never voted for anything in your life. Like, I know all you idiots watched American Idol. The fuck? Are those illegal votes because they're cast by text message? Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful watching dumb people fucking just
My favorite thing was Stop the Count. Well, okay, if you stop the count, then your boy Donnie is gonna lose.
I was gonna say, even better than stop the count is Bisping's response on Twitter, which I don't know if you said, but he just literally retweeted, "What the fuck did I do?" And then I believe there's a very good GIF of the angry white lady yelling at the cat. And when you look at the cat, it's just Michael Bisping drinking a beer on the podium at the GSP conference.
I saw that. And
it's
then,
fucking beautiful.
There was another one where it showed Trump like that, and it's like stop the count, and it shows the count from Sesame Street. Like what?
Yeah, no. I mean, I wouldn't normally. I don't care about politics. I think that we've widely said that about on this show. Like, I generally don't get involved because it generally doesn't. And I think a lot of my actual effect on it is very neutral at the national level and really doesn't matter. However, that being said, if you start actively being racist or saying horrific things or breaking democracy, then yeah, people have to say things. So, just for the record, if we sound overly political, it's because literally the country forced us to be overly political in saying that we should keep the fucking democracy in this country. So, I don't know. Weird intro to this goddamn show this week, Chris. Is your beard all segue into this? Because mine doesn't.
Let's see. Let me try to segue this. So this beer...
I've got a segue if you need one.
Yeah, I can't.
All right, well then I will segue right into the Doug Stanhope presents Papa Vodka presents our sponsor. That's backwards, but I'll still go with it. Doug Stanhope did actually do a live stream this week for the... he did a End of the World Part 2 live stream, which I highly recommend over watching the Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, whatever that right-wing comedian fucking bullshit that they put on was, because that was awful. That was one where you guys all saw Joe Rogan go, "Yay, Texas is red!" And then immediately say, "I'm neutral."
Yeah, bitch.
Which is beautiful after seeing the Luke Thomas episode. He's legit the Brendan Schaub of him. We all know where Brendan Schaub got it from at this point, because it's what Joe Rogan does. He just agrees with whoever's in front of him. However, as also shown in the Luke Thomas episode over and over again, where he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I agree. The UFC's underpaying people," even though every other guest, he's like, "No, the UFC, they have a lot of overhead."
Yeah, you make like $100,000 each, right?
Yeah. Hey, why pay fighters more than 18%? Who gives a fuck about them? Anyway, back to actually, this is a great segue because this is a collaboration between I would argue two of the not only best San Diego breweries, but two of the most truly San Diego breweries, in that they are just San Diego as fuck, which is the collaboration between Carl Strauss and Society Brewing, Catch You on the Flip Side IPA. And it's exactly what you would imagine. It's just a beautiful, like, light, tropical, new style San Diego IPA.
So... where did you purchase this? I haven't seen this one yet.
I don't know where girlfriend Karen got it. I would imagine Preferred, or I do know that a couple of our homies in Claremont, like Jimbo's and Part Liquor, had it for a while. And then I bet you can probably get a Society too. I think maybe.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so you can get Taproom Beer Company, El Cajon Boulevard, being near North Park. Vine and Vine in North Park on Adams. Pure Project, apparently they carry it.
Hey.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. I wonder why they... well, to
Trader Joe's.
You know what?
Trader
Actually,
Joe's carries it.
No, you know what? That's probably where.
Oh, and Jimbo's. Oh, fuck! I'm gonna pick some up tomorrow.
Yeah, I know they have it at Jimbo's, but I think girlfriend Karen got it at Trader Joe's. Actually, now that you mention it, because I think it was warm when she got it, but it's still fucking delicious. It's like very It's actually a lot more of a classic West Coast IPA than I would have thought. But then again, it's like very much in the Society Carl Strauss. Like, if you were to imagine Society and Carl Strauss made a IPA in 2020, like, this is exactly what you would think it would taste like. So I love it. I mean, two very old school company, one very old school company, one very new school company, who both have very old school ideals about how beer should be made. So I fucking love it, man.
So
yeah, you said you got something cool, right?
The artwork is really similar to Lord Hobo from New England and somewhere in Massachusetts.
So you black and gold?
Yes.
On some Wiz Khalifa shit?
So this kind of looks like it'd be Lord Hobo, right?
Yeah, kind of.
It is actually Fort Point.
Oh, weird. I've never seen this beer before.
And
I've never heard of that brewery.
KSA, it's a Kolsch.
Interesting.
And it is from San Francisco.
Interesting. I've never seen, heard, or known anything about that brewery or beer.
Nor have I, and that's why I got it, and it's good. It's Kolsch, 4.6 ABV.
Kind of like on the amber side of a Pilsner kind of feel. I feel like that's always my definition of Kolsch. Is they're like somewhere between an amber and a gold kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd call it very light and bready, like white bread biscuity, and then more kind of like.
That's why I always go ambers because they're very
like a pilsner, but more like biscuit, like a biscuit. It tastes like a biscuit or like
biscuity, bready, kind of very malty.
If there's any corn, I'd call it cornbread.
Okay. Yeah. I fucks with that, man. That sounds delicious. That is exactly my kind of.
It's a solid beer. It's very light, very fluffy. No real maltiness or bitterness. It's just a very just a light beer, very crushable.
Hell yeah, man! Hey, it's
beer hipsters would say.
Dude, to be fair, I've been almost all about crushable beers lately. Like, I do IPAs and 6-packs nowadays, or like a tall can or two. I mean, aside from like Swamis or like, I don't know, something I just get on the regs.
Or don't do like a Russian Imperial Stout. You don't want to crush one of those.
Well, that's the thing is like most of the shit I end up buying nowadays is actually a lot of like Pilsners, lagers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I still have that one beer I tried about 2 or 3 weeks ago. That one, AleSmith Amagang. I still have one left.
Oh, yeah, I forgot they did that crossover. That's right.
Yeah, I still have it in my fridge.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it's a good beer.
Hell yeah. Well, I guess we should go ahead and jump into format since we've been talking about this more than long enough. So why don't you go ahead and start us off with the MMA podcast you recommend people catch this week? Because I feel like overall it's been a fucking great week for podcasts. Like, I feel like there was considering how weak the card this weekend is, I feel like there was a lot of good content.
So I'm going to start off with the Severe MMA premium episode on Patreon, his Shawnee Podcast's Q&A.
Yeah, I love those things.
So the main Q&A was talking about who are the GOATs of each division, and he kind of quickly went along. So I'll do this quick, and then I'll start now. So 125 of the men's division of flyweights. Demetrius Johnson is a GOAT. After that, he has Cejudo, ranked at number 2. After that, he has Ian McCall. And after that, he has Davison Figueiredo as of right now.
Right. If I remember right, this was a question asked the week before that he followed up on. Because it was like way too in-depth.
At bantamweight for men's, he
has... By the way, that's Cruz. A really good list. Although... Yeah. I feel like it might be missing something. Also, shouts out to João Oliveira from Brazil. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, dude. But shouts out. Keep going.
135. Dominic Cruz is the current GOAT. That's mainly, he said, because Dillashaw is a juicy slut. He has Uriah Faber at number 2, which is interesting considering he never captured gold. But he also says he recognizes Faber more as a featherweight as far as success. So he says, I consider Faber more of a featherweight champion and featherweight success because of his run in WEC as a former champion there. He has TJ Dillashaw on the list regardless of the steroids. And then he has Henry Cejudo on there, regardless of him only really fighting like one top 5 guy.
You start to have a lot of caveats. What I've learned with a lot of these discussions, like very quickly you have to.
135 is as stacked as it's ever been now, so I feel like there's gonna be a lot of names changing soon. And with the return of TJ Dillashaw, we'll see what kind of TJ Dillashaw we get.
Very true.
At 145, he says the current GOAT is still Jose Aldo. He says it has to be. After that, he has it Max Holloway is the number 2 featherweight of all time, and then he says Conor McGregor is number 3 featherweight of all time, in his opinion. I don't really argue with those 3 there, honestly. We'll see. It could change again. I don't know. Part of me thinks Holloway can get gold again, but then I also think he's just going to go to 155, put on more muscle. I feel like at this point he doesn't really have any more to prove at 145. I think Holloway should go to 155. We'll see though. But then again, he kind of lacked the punching power there.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, though. At a certain point, where you're like, how much are we just forcing Holloway into the division that he's not necessarily like? I don't know that he wants to fight at 155 either. He makes 145 every fucking time, and I know it's tough, but he still makes it.
Yeah.
Well, the only time he didn't make 155. That was on short notice, right? That was the Habib one. It was like on a week's notice.
And then he made it easy when he fought Poirier.
Yeah.
No, he did pull out once against. That
was a different thing though. That was the Luke Thomas drug thing, or no?
It was
Michael
the one
Bisping?
where they said he had a seizure.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, it was because Michael Bisping was like, "You're acting weird on like that on fight week." Wait, was that all the same one though?
That was a different card. So Holloway's missed.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, it was two different.
And it was Ortega. They had to rebook.
But those were back to back, right?
Yeah. It wasn't back, so he had missed when they were supposed to fight in July, and then they had to rebook it because he had a seizure or some sort of thing, medical instance, and then he ended up fighting and beating the absolute shit of Ortega in the fall. And then the only time he missed weight besides that was when he was trying to fight Habib last minute, but I think that was last minute. But now it's at 155.
Right.
Speaking of 155 GOATs, Habib Nurmagomedov, I do not disagree with that at all. I think he's the undisputed GOAT at 155.
BJ Penn is the closest answer, right?
Yep, and he's number 2. And Sean's reasoning is Habib, his last 3 wins, all 3 of those guys, McGregor, Poirier, and Gaethje, are fucking ranked on pound for pound, which is unheard of.
Yeah, but a lot of that is also just because they're inherently more recent, so they're inherently more ranked on pound
that's true.
for pound.
But
that's kind of a weird metric.
I think Habib's a lightweight GOAT just based on his dominance of his victory.
Dude, BJ, I agree, but BJ is like very much in the conversation in a way people don't like talk about just because of the way he ended his career. Because that people forget, like BJ was fucking people up.
And I had BJ as my GOAT before Habib came along, honestly.
And to be honest, if BJ was more consistent, I think people wouldn't have that argument. But BJ's inconsistencies are very
number 3 for Shawnee is Benson Henderson. Number 4 is Jens Pulver. And number 5
Hell yeah! Dude, shouts out to Shawnee for keeping goddamn Jens in the top 5 on that. Because you got to, god damn it. He is so underrated. Nobody likes to talk about him because Dana White hates him. But Jens Pulver is easily, maybe I'm the most biased.
That he's not in the UFC Hall of Fame.
Agreed, Chris. I argue the UFC Hall of Fame doesn't matter until he is in it. But then again, I am the most biased, having the same last name as him, and him being very fucking sweet to me every time I've ever engaged with him. So I don't know.
At welterweight, I don't even say men's. He says it's very just clear. GSP number 1, Tyron Woodley number 2, and Matt Hughes number 3, in his opinion.
Right.
At 185, Anderson Silva number 1. He said Rich Franklin number 2. He said Adesanya number 3 and Weidman number 4. He doesn't really have a number 5.
That's a very weird list.
He was very hesitant on Weidman.
I mean, yeah. He should have been way more hesitant on whatever the fuck his second pick, Rich Franklin. While Rich Franklin did have a great run, I don't know, man. Adesanya is pretty quickly rising those fucking ranks. I get actually no.
I'll make the argument that Luke Rockhold, if he actually had a chin, he probably could have been one of the best. And that dude is so skilled.
Well, that's the kind of the problem with 185 is like a lot of dudes have very dominant but very short runs. So yeah, I might. Now I started out complaining. I might actually be back on board because Rich Franklin was a motherfucker for the run that he had up until Anderson Silva just clinch kneed him to death over and over again. Or as I believe Catboy Ryan Wagner loves the phrase, the Thai plum. I believe that's his favorite phrase in the whole world, as the Conor Rebush explained on Heavy Hands. So.
Some might even put Whitaker up there based on that he beat Romero twice, but I don't really know how much.
Whitaker's up there, but also those Romero fights make it makes it a hard argument for any of the whole division is kind of.
He also ended up naming all the women's divisions, and I was listening at that point. No disrespect to them. It's basically kind of I think he said for 115, he said Joanna.
Yeah, you probably got to at this point.
I think after that he said Rose. 125, Valentina, 135, and 140. It's fucking obvious. It's Nunes. She's just the GOAT at women's. 205, John Jones. Then he said Tito after that. Then he said Chuck Liddell. And he said, and then this is weird.
That's a weird 205 list.
So you know what he said? And this is the only thing I just agreed. He says DC does not deserve to be. This is Shawnee.
Shawnee said Tito is the second best light heavyweight ever?
Yeah, and he said, and I was thinking,
oh my god.
And he said Daniel Cormier does not deserve to be in the ranks of these because he would not have won the belt without Jones' popular steroids.
Okay, wait. We need to clarify UFC heavyweight or light heavyweight. He's specifically talking UFC.
Yes, this is UFC.
I know, but like, I guess you could make because Shogun is the obvious reason why that's wrong. But Shogun's UFC run is arguably not as strong as Tito's UFC run, I guess.
I'll say this.
But Shogun's run and pride is fucking unparalleled.
I think it's kind of disrespectful that he just omits DC because Jones popped. That's bullshit, because DC still had so many dominant wins at 205.
Yeah, but also Shawnee Podcast is not a big DC fan, so
I know.
That's a part of it. Also not a big wrestling fan. I don't know if you noticed by these lists. So... Yeah.
And then heavyweight, he says it's pretty much
only
2 people.
I can't wait to see how many jiu-jitsu fighters are on his top list for each fucking weight class.
Yeah. And then he says heavyweight, it's clearly Stipe and Fedor are the two best heavyweights of all time. He said Stipe, obviously, for the UFC.
Yeah.
That was his opinion.
Kane is in that conversation, but...
I agree, but he's also a big what if.
Yeah, no, he's not. He is after a certain point in his career, but no. Like, no. He would have fucked Fedor up, and I think we all know that.
Yeah,
at this point.
That.
Pretty easily. Like, I think, based on the performances Fedor had against fucking
but then
Fabio Maldonado.
Some Brazilian fan could be like, but Fabricio Verdun beat the Fedor.
Hey, no, Kane. I'm saying Fabricio might be above Kane as well. I think it probably goes fucking.
Either way, these lists you can argue.
That's why I hate this shit. Is because it's
not fun.
So subjective.
After that, the only other lasting thing he said, John Jones is currently in no man's land. He decided to vacate his belt, and he's non-committal on moving to heavyweight. Is he just talking or trying to negotiate some bullshit?
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes. No, that's exactly what he said.
Ultimate Fighter is returning, evidently. They said the clear option, Shawnee says, it has to be Colby versus Jorge. I agree.
Boo! Don't put Colby on camera in the year 2020, you fucks. Don't root for Colby being on camera. Don't give Colby airtime. Don't give that fuck any attention.
Yeah.
How about that? How about we give Leon Edwards and fucking Jorge Masvidal a show? How about that?
Or Edwards and Hamzat. Just kidding.
Sure.
Just bring all stars.
Or hey, how about you do Jorge versus the winner of Hamzat versus Leon? You will guaranteed get views either way. That's actually the easiest money of all time.
He's like, you already know Jorge, but I slapped you with the 3-piece.
Exactly. Like, or you have Hamzat shit talking Jorge the entire time in the house, while Ali is just rooting for all the money in the background.
Yeah, and Hamzat's like, he's like, you don't understand? I smash you.
No, you get all the terrible Ali versus Okawa beefs. That is easy matchmaking and easy money to be made. You want to make a shit tough season with two dudes who will probably do it? That's probably the move, y'all. Also, don't do that because don't do tough.
Yeah, no, just I'm over that. And then I
don't want to have to watch anymore.
Said, of course, Dana White throws Anderson Silva under the bus.
Yeah.
He says, I think Bryce Mitchell will be a top featherweight at some point. And then he says, I think Adesanya should fight John Jones now. Why is he taking the Jan fight? Well, common sense says he's taking the Jan fight because if he wins, then he could bait Jones into coming back down to fight him. He'll be like, hey, bitch, I have your belt.
100%.
You know, are you still there, pussy? That kind of shit, you know.
Literally, are you? I guarantee you he might use the phrase. I would be surprised if he doesn't use the phrase, are you still there, pussy? If John Jones goes quiet on him.
Oh, no. If Adesanya wins, he is going full throttle on Twitter, and Jones is gonna. We know how insecure Jones is. He's just gonna be like, Reese, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna go great for everybody, and everybody's gonna act real mature about it.
Gunshots may be fired, and
don't joke about that shit. It's 2020, y'all. Anyway, that sounds like a great episode of the Severe MMA Q&A Patreon. Or Patreon Q&A. Or I guess they're technically the Severe MMA Patreon Shawnee Podcast Q&A, I believe. Which would have been for November 4th, 2020, I think, right? 4th or the 3rd? Do you have it?
Shit. I believe it was the 3rd.
Yeah, it's one of those two. You guys will be able to figure it out if you let. My first catch is a very quick one. And it is just because this co-main event watch party for UFC 254 was so goddamn fun. All I'm going to say is Sir Nigel was in the house live.
Okay.
And he's just making all the COVID jokes about how he's been traveling the country. And he's been having a headache and coughing on everyone. And that's where he's been this whole time. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of good jokes. There's some fun to be had. I'm not gonna lie. I was very, very edible and drinking by this point in the night on UFC 254. But it was a blast, and I highly recommend it. Just like lighthearted fun. And if you're on the CME Patreon, you can go watch that. Essentially, they just queue you up and they watch all the fights on the main card, and it was just a blast. They had some very interesting and somewhat fucked up takes on things, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, it was just a great episode. Just like lighthearted and fun, which I feel like a lot of times we need more of in MMA. So, highly recommend it.
Nice.
Let's see. Do you have any other catches for this week?
Yeah, I got Throwing Elbows, episode 101.
I did not catch that.
Titled Beating Up Old Men.
Nice.
So they said, let's first discuss what is going on with Kevin Lee's tattoo.
Oh, yeah. Kevin Lee's head looks all kinds of different.
So they were trying to discuss what it is. I took a look at it, and I think it is samurai armor plates or some sort of armor, but like in the form of a chandelier.
Something like that, or either that, or he's just like, boarding up his head.
I don't know what it is. That's the real answer. They said we agree with Dana, and that there is no reason Uriah Hall should not have knocked out Anderson Silva in the first round. They think he was fucking around and he was too respectful. I mean, that's what everybody says who fights Anderson Silva before they get knocked out. Or that's what everybody says before someone knocks out Anderson Silva. It's like, yeah, you got to time Anderson and you got to feint him out because that's how you beat Anderson Silva. All I know is that Anderson Silva got knocked out like Anderson Silva knocks people out.
Dude, did you see the 1-to-1 clip? Of how literally the Forrest Griffin KO.
Yeah. Okay, I did.
The side by side, it's brutal. I believe one of the fight side guys, I forget which one. I believe they were. It was one of the snarky ones that I love. I can't remember, but one of them originally were the one. Maybe I want to say Saram, but it seems too nice or too mean of a thing for Saram to do. So maybe it wasn't. But somebody posted. It wasn't Saram, I don't think. But somebody posted that I believe they originally cut the Forrest Griffin clip into the Uriah Hall clip, and then someone else did a side by side where they timed the knockdown at the same time. And they are both devastating to watch. It is, as I believe, one of my favorite directors, and a director that I never want to watch more of his movies unnecessarily, Gaspar Noé once said, "Time ruins everything."
Yep. I will say this. Uriah Hall, I know, called out Adesanya, and he said at one point he's cherry picking his fights, which is absolutely adorable.
I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, I understand what you're doing, but like
yeah. Kevin Holland, who's fought 4 times this year, and he has a good victory over what's-his-face and slams him on his neck.
Yeah,
that was actually
what's-his-face is actually a good way to describe that dude, because that dude had fought a bunch of 50-50 fighters. So,
and I didn't mean that in a disrespectful way. I literally gentleman's. But my point is,
you have no reason
did you see the recent news now about Kevin Holland?
Yes, and I'm so hyped. That is a great fight.
Good for him. Darren Till is out of his bout with Jack Hermanson
which
with
sucks.
an injury, apparently, which is a fucking bummer because I was looking forward to that fight. Kevin Holland is in, and also good on Jack Hermanson for taking that fight.
Dude, Kevin Holland versus Jack Hermanson is going to be fun as hell because Jack Hermanson is such a nice guy, and Kevin Holland loves nice guys because he gets to talk that fun kind of shit without it getting mean.
Yep.
So, like, where he's just going to get, at a certain point, Kevin Holland's going to be getting wrestled and slapping dude while talking shit to him. And I'm always here for that. I always find it endearing.
So, and another point that the guys at Throw Nobles talk about, they said, isn't it a bummer when fighters you like are painful to listen to once they start talking about not fighting stuff on the mic? And they said, shouts out to Bryce Mitchell and Aljamain Sterling. Yeah.
Well, no, Bryce Mitchell sucks. No, it's what sucks about Bryce Mitchell. Those are two different things.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, well, they both don't like mask, but
Aljo's trying to be more intellectual about it. He's just an idiot, which is not necessarily his fault.
In an intellectually dumb way. It's still dumb.
The problem is he fucking has. He's had. His girlfriend, who's a nurse, has had COVID, which is the worst part on Aljo's take. Because by definition, Aljo's girlfriend just perpetually gets COVID. Because she's perpetually around sick people in a hospital where she's going to get COVID. So, like, Aljo also bringing home COVID, probably not great for the world. But, like, we don't... why talk about that, though? Ugh, I hate everybody.
That's all they had to say about that. They said Bobby Green should be beating Moises at this point, but there's a good argument for him getting robbed of the win. They said Alexander Hernandez got fed to killers early in his career because his debut win was him knocking up Adil Dariush, so he kind of set himself up to fail unknowingly. And they said Dana White is an asshole for invoking Khabib's dead father as a tactic to convince him to return. That's just how Khabib does it.
I mean, also, the UFC is an asshole for using the entire fight promotion of UFC 254 around Khabib's dead dad.
They also said Khabib is
fucking
also
so trashy, dude.
Yeah,
it's as bad as the Wall Harris shit.
Yeah, that's bad. They also said Khabib took no time to incite. So they say he took no time to incite violent action against the president of France. The way I interpreted his post is that he just basically said we must take threats against Islam or any sort of Prophet Muhammad seriously. I didn't see it as him actually threatening anyone. In my opinion,
but like it's as close as you can get without doing that.
Yeah, he was treading the line, and it's still not a good look.
He's still saying like we should not be tolerant of people who question our religion or whatever.
Speaking of which, I have a drawing. I'm just kidding. I'm fucking.
Oh, I wish you did, dude. I would have fucking yelled. I would have cheered so hard right now. That would have been the best bit you ever did on this show.
It literally would have just been like a stick figure.
I'm sure it would have been. And that's the only way to do it. Because otherwise, you're being racist, probably. But, oh, man, I got so excited for half a second that you did that.
Never mind. I was going to say something really never mind.
Yeah, I would bail on it. Right. I'm going to segue beautifully into
I'm bailing on
a totally
100%.
different. I'm going to go ahead and segue beautifully into a different nation.
I'll tell it to you off air. All right.
Yeah. I'm going to segue into a different nation, which is the Fitz Nation podcast, episode 41. Because Brendan Fitzgerald evidently thinks you can just change the name of your podcast all the time and keep the number structure, which only Brendan Schaub is the only other person I know who thinks you can do that. Because that's how numbers work, y'all. It's not fucking hard. What's the name of your show? Is it a named episode of your show? Then it's that number. Did you change the name? It's a new number. It's very simple. It's the reason why we don't number our fucking or commentary episodes. Because that's not a fucking numbered episode of our show. Ugh, I hate fucking people who have no structure. Also, this is probably just OCD problems that I have, to be honest. But it's the same reason I have problems with why no one can decide on whether to spell out episode or not, or whether to put a dash in the name, or all these things. I hate it. Can we just make a standard already? Anyway, now that I've lashed out about all my fucking OCD problems, Fitz Nation episode 41, Angie Hill guested, and it's absolutely incredible. If you ever wanted to hear Angie Hill's story, this is a great introduction. She talks everything from, doing the broadcasts in Abu Dhabi along with Brendan Fitzgerald to growing up as a shy art kid and getting into animation in college and drawing and working at Six Flags when she was real young. Like, I think 15 or 16, she was an animator. She's like one of those caricature artists at Six Flags back in the day. And then she talks about going from that to going into the Tough House and how she ended up getting cut after the losses to Tisha and Rose, and getting real fucking mad when Paige Van Zandt lost to the same two fighters and we're still getting a giant push. So it's just a really interesting episode, and a very great, like, one of the best intros that you'll get to Angie Hill if you are not familiar with her story. So that sounds like something you're interested in. Fitz Nation episode 41, I think, is absolutely something worth listening to. I've been a long proponent of Brendan Fitzgerald's interviews. I think he's really good at them. The long in-depth ones, I think he's just a good interviewer. He asks questions that he seems to generally care about, and it always makes interviews more interesting. Even if it's not about shit I care about, it's about shit he cares about. It's kind of as equally engaging, arguably. So, yeah, I just really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Let's see. Do you have any other catches for this week?
Yeah, I think I just have one more. It is the co-main event Power Hour.
Oh, I didn't get to this one. I'm glad you got to it. Because it sounded hilarious.
It was funny. I never
Because this is the full-on Power Hour. They did a full Power Hour episode. It's all Power Hour all the time, if I remember right.
Yep. So the first thing to talk about is Tito Ortiz calling for a recount in California after being elected to Huntington Beach City Council. They thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, kiss the fingers, beautiful, right?
As far as how delegation and just not even just politics work, but just due process and just how representation of your city council, just how everything works.
Well, and how else Tito's going to do inside those meetings, I'm sure they talked about as well.
Like, hey, Tito, we don't know if you've been paying attention, but Biden won California by 4 million votes. So are you willing to recount more than 4 million votes? Good luck.
Also, Tito, can you count to 4?
Yeah.
I mean, fair question, right?
They also talk about the Corey Anderson absolute beatdown of Melvin Manhoff.
Dude, that was embarrassing.
And they said that was just a terrible fight all around, and that it never should have happened.
Oh, the Rich Chow matchmaking special, you mean, on the Bellator Sacrifice Hour.
They talk about Israel Adesanya saying, my pack was messed up because I smoke a lot of weed, and I'm never going to stop smoking weed.
Yo, that's facts, though. Like, doctors have come out and proven that. Like, I forget the doctor on Twitter. If you look at, here, you know what? Let me pull up, while I'm talking. Let me pull up G's Twitter account. What is G's name currently? It's not G from State Farm. It is G with... She's not with Woe TV anymore. Either, is she? What the fuck is Gina's name on Twitter, goddammit? You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to have to scroll through our goddamn Twitter to see the last time I retweeted her to find it. Oh, this is the worst way to do this. Chris, you want to keep talking while I do this?
Yeah, so, his pec was, they said he even did, he did a mammogram, MRI, every sort of scan possible to measure all of his levels, testosterone, estrogen. He says, I'm good to go. He's like, my doctor told me it's because I smoked too much weed. I've never heard of that.
Oh, God, okay.
Then again...
G-Spot MMA retweeted the video from the doctor. I should not have cut you off before I started scrolling. Oh, God, I forgot how much G tweets. I should just Control F for doctor. Oh, good. Nothing came up. Anyway, she retweeted a well-known doctor who actually explained this, and this is something Dr. Drew was talking. I know people like to say, "Oh, Dr. Drew's no doctor." Dr. Drew is a board-certified physician, addiction medicine specialist, and he is an actual doctor, whether you want to call him a doctor or not. And on Loveline, this is something you used to talk about a lot back in the day, which is you do actually get gynecomastia as a male or as a female. You can get it as a male from smoking weed. Because it actually does slightly, it does affect that along with some other fat tissue growth. And that's like a real ass fact. I'm having to scroll so far to find this fucking thing because she tweets so much. But yeah, no, there's an actual doctor who's like a regular review. He's a guy who regularly comes out about this kind of stuff, and he came out talking about how it is actually a thing, and it's kind of been a known thing for people who know about the kind of stuff. I mean, that's what Eugenius Robinson kept talking about. It was like, yo, gynecomastia as a form of steroid use is bilateral. Like, you see it equally on both tits. Like, you don't just grow one tit out.
That's what I thought. I thought if you have gyno, it's like both your nips
or
your pecs, right?
And that's why weed can do weird things to it, because you can have essentially if you have a lump in one tip and not the other, it'll grow out the one with the lump and not the other.
So that means he was on steroids and he smoked a bunch of weed.
No. It means it's a genetic.
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Okay, it's a genetic thing that some people are born with. Like I don't know if y'all see my titties, but they ain't small, and I be smoking weeds. So you know.
Also, if you drink a lot of IPAs, you evidently get tits.
Oh well, no, that's just being.
I think that's bullshit, though.
That's just fat kid tits. That's a different thing. I'd be here for that as well. But
I always make the joke whenever I see someone come into my work and they've got man tits. I'm like, IPA? How'd you know?
Yeah, right, bro. I'm drinking nothing but milk stouts, bro. It's the dumbest joke. Anyway, I'm gonna keep on moving on. That was gonna be a bad segue. I'm gonna pick a different. Yeah. Oh yeah. You have anything else on that one?
So, last thing that Chad and Ben talked about on their Power Hour, they talked about Kevin Lee's tattoo, and then they said, have you seen the tweet storms of MMA fighters supporting Trump and how they want a recount across all states? Yeah. They said Gina Carano, oh boy. They said they think it's adorable how they think that there is, they said, I think there needs to be a system that detects fraudulent voting, and they're like, by the way, sweetheart, there is. They're like fact checking her.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, yo, I love all these fucking grown ass white people who don't understand how voting works. They're like, oh, they're not allowing strangers to watch votes. You're like, yeah. You know how voting? Did you never have to work a fucking polling place leaving high school or something? Like, I worked a polling place leaving high school, and I don't even fucking I'm generally against voting. I think voting is a lot of times a waste of time, depending on what you're voting for.
And then lastly, they said somebody needs to get Thiago Santos away from his Twitter.
I mean, yeah, but you can say the same thing about Mike Perry as well this evening.
They're probably destined to fight each other.
Oh, God, in hell, hopefully.
Touche.
That's probably not the way to phrase that, but I'm just going to move on. Let's see. I talked about Fifth Station with Angie Hill. The other two catches that I had for this week is Best Camp of My Life, Episode 3, where Dan Tom guessed it. It's just fucking great. Imagine you have Dan Tom and Fernanda Proches on the same podcast. You already know it's going to be my favorite shit of all time. They talk about a lot of interesting stuff, like Dana shitting so aggressively on Anderson in the post-fight presser. And whether...
I thought you were saying all of a sudden you were describing him shitting on the toilet aggressively. Like, well, I can believe that.
I mean, I was going to make a good joke about his stripper girlfriend that he flew to Brazil, but I'm just going to keep on moving on. Whether they also talk about whether it's to hurt Anderson's market value or just because he doesn't care about... just because he doesn't care about him in general. And either way, it's terrible. They talk about Uriah having a chip on his shoulder when it comes to media and how that's kind of understandable. Fernanda also talks a bit about how she kind of went through similar stuff with fighters supporting Bolsonaro in 2018 and how a lot of us should have seen this shit coming in 2020, which is very, I would argue, prevalent. And also at a certain point, there is a literal, classic mariachi style Mexican band playing downstairs from Fernanda during this episode because she's living in Mexico City with her boyfriend, so it's a lot of fun. Shouts to Rodrigo. Been loving some of the content he's been doing. Alright guys, Rodrigo. since he's not Brazilian. And then they talk about who would be the Kumite fight. Who's the person, or like who are the people they would want to see in a Kumite fight in Bloodsport. Which and I thought that was pretty solid. And then on a less fun note, but an interesting, an equally interesting note rather, the Joe Rogan MMA show episode 89. Chris, did you see this?
No.
So this is the first time I've listened to a Rogan episode in a long time and not been forced to turn it off within the first couple minutes because of how horrific everybody's talking. Just about just being unlistenable for a lot of reasons. However, this was the episode with Luke Thomas, and it's fucking awesome.
Oh no! Yeah. So, out of all of those, I wanted to listen to it. I just
3.5 hours.
I just didn't get around to it.
Well, dude, 3.5 hours. I don't blame you because it literally took up most of my day today to get through it. But it's really interesting. They talk about the Mohegan Sun Casino for Showtime Boxing since Luke was there, and what it's like being in a casino right now, especially in New Jersey, which I believe. Or no, wait, Mohegan Sun's in Nevada, right? Or wait, it's Mohegan Sun. No, Mohegan Sun's in New Jersey.
California.
Is it?
I think.
No, it's Connecticut. Anyway, he was also in Jersey recently, which is why it's fucking me up. But yeah, it's interesting hearing him talk about that. A lot of discussion on police reform, whether Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would work. Also, some motherfuckers don't, and you can't fix that problem. It was a very and I'm very much simplifying all these discussions, obviously, because I'm not having nearly the nuanced take while repeating it while drinking. But yeah, for the record, I thought it was just a lot of really interesting discussions, and you hear Rogan, while, like I joked about earlier I think we talked about this on air, not before we started, Rogan has a little bit of Brendan Schaub tendencies of just agreeing with whoever's in front of him. Like Rogan in this episode, out the gate, was like, Luke's like, oh, I'm left leaning by nature. Rogan's like, me too. But then also a day later, Rogan's like, woo, we won Texas, fuckers, red. You're like, all right, well. And then Rogan goes, I'm kidding, I'm neutral. And his guest, who's a super right wing, is like, okay, bro. Which is it's interesting. But no, it's just really cool to hear Luke bring up all the things you always wanted to hear talked about on Rogan's podcast. Here we go. I'll just start listing them off. He talks about how MMA fighters are underpaid and how they only make 18-20%. He references people like John Nash, Paul Gift, Jason Cruz, Josh Gross. He talks about the antitrust suit and explains it to Joe. He talks about how MMA managers are snakes. He talks about the importance of fighters needing to cause the change in power structure since the media's been trying to do it and nothing has happened in almost a decade. He talks about how he explains to Joe how the ESPN deal pay structure works, since Joe had zero idea about it. A lot of talk about Bodog from back in the day and Calvin Iyer, which is tight. They talk about Silva versus Maya and the classic Abu Dhabi fight card that kind of fell through and Dana got all pissed about. Somebody finally corrects Joe Rogan about his bullshit on the one championship hydration testing. Luke Thomas went on and answered so many fucking things I wanted to hear someone address to Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan's answer every single time was, I never even heard that. It's like, why are you only bringing on guests that would never bring that up? Because everyone interesting would. So, yeah.
Totally.
And then, of course, a lot of talk at the end towards drug testing and USADA, because of course Luke is not a big USADA or drug testing fan in general. So yeah, and for good reason. Really interesting episode.
Say, hey Joe, you and I both like John Jones, and we think he should take all the steroids he wants. I mean, what steroids? Excuse me.
Well, it was actually, yeah. While you're not wrong, it was more nuanced than that. But yeah, a little bit. But honestly, it's one of the best conversations you'll hear this week when it comes to the Joe. One of the best conversations you'll hear about MMA when it comes to Rogan's podcast, because Luke addresses so many things that have been sitting in the air that Rogan falsely repeats all the time, and you hear Rogan say it in front of Luke, and you're like, come on, Luke, I know you're going to bring it up. I know you're going to say something, bro. You're not just going to let that go. And Luke just, long pause. Well, Joe, the one thing about one's hydration testing policy, and you're like, yes! Fucking finally, somebody's bringing this up. So, very satisfying episode of the Joe Rogan MMA show, I would say. Because Luke finally brought all the things that Rogan refused to acknowledge, and Rogan also kind of just still refused to acknowledge any of it. And he was just like, oh yeah, I agree with you. Those are all problems. But also, I'm going to do nothing about it and just repeat these problems again in the future. So, yeah, that was my other catch. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very conflicted about Rogan's show at this point in my life. And recommending it is hard to do, but the Luke Thomas episode, especially because of the way he's challenged so many of the narratives that Rogan has falsely pushed for so long, it was pretty satisfying. So, worth checking out. Let's see. You didn't have any skips for this week, right? Or did you? No. Perfect. Well, then I didn't either. I mean, everything I heard was, or everything I chose to listen to was listenable. So let's see. Do you have any can't miss episodes we should get to?
I believe so. Yeah, I do. I don't know what the episode number, but I don't know if they had one. My can't miss is The Bash.
Oh, wow. I didn't catch The Bash this week. Nice.
So, they really talked about what's the deal with Dana keep talking about how Khabib hasn't made up his mind yet. And him leveraging his dad, right? Being a dick. So they're like, is he going to retire? Is there one last ride? I think they're thinking Khabib's going to come back.
Well, that's what Ali keeps pushing as well.
Shocking. I don't think he will, but
I hope he doesn't. He has nothing to prove.
Yeah, I just hope he does. There's no point.
Well, I mean, outside of a Khabib or a Usman fight, like, I don't know why you would do it. And an Usman fight, I don't know that he gets that much from that, unless he really wants GOAT status.
That would be fun.
I mean, yeah, but I think that's a terrible matchup for him.
Yeah, I mean, like, if he wins, like, okay, yeah, his GOAT status goes up.
Yeah, but like, what are the odds he just gets the shit kicked out of him on the feet by Usman for fucking 5 rounds? Pretty good.
Which, I mean, that's probably not happening either way. They discussed Conor versus Dustin and whether Conor can still make 155. I mean, I'm sure. The one thing that made me laugh.
I'm not so sure. When's the last time Conor fucking made 155?
I don't know if it's their Irish bias. But Pete says, I think Conor looks like a middleweight these days.
I mean, I think that's less Irish bias and more understanding that Conor is not cutting weight or at all monitoring his diet anymore. Because when you drink that hard, you can't, motherfuckers. Have you seen my fat ass? Okay. I'm also not exercising like Conor McGregor. I will say that. Although, you know what? I might be. I'd be exercising my nostrils here and there.
They said, it's annoying when Dana consistently lies when other fighters talk about who they want to fight next.
Yeah.
They talk about Robert Whittaker, and they're like, oh, Rob doesn't want to fight. You know, he never said that.
This is one thing that I really like about The Bash is this is all the shit PT would vaguely reference on the Eurobash show, and now they're just like straight talking about the exact things they would have vaguely referenced.
I only had 2 other notes about this because the last note they took made me actually pretty upset. So the first one is they talked about Bryce Mitchell talking about kids shouldn't have to wear masks, that kind of thing.
Right. Genius.
But the thing that upset me is apparently Greg Hardy. They played his
they made the clip where Greg Hardy said he never ever been called guilty.
Yeah, he's like, I'm innocent. And he's like, I'm a victim.
He literally said he's never been called guilty.
Like, bro, the court literally says otherwise.
The court said he was guilty. We've said he's guilty. Everyone has said he's guilty. The only person that's not said he's guilty is Greg Hardy, which is why fuck that idiot. Ugh.
So fuck Dean Thomas. Got it. Just kidding. He's just getting paid.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know how much Dean Thomas is working with him at this point. Dean Thomas is working with Jorge Shorty Torres and actually, I don't. But Dean Thomas wasn't even in his corner, was he?
I don't think so.
No, I think because Dean Thomas, I think right now only because he's not with ATT anymore. So as far as I knew, Dean was only working with Jorge Shorty Torres and Jillian Robertson right now. I mean, I could be wrong.
Right.
I don't remember off the top of my head whether or not he was in the corner, but I don't remember seeing him. So, and I normally I'm a big. Oh shit! Sorry, I just set that down on the table with the mics on. I'm a big Dean Thomas fan, and that was one of my things that. Although I get it, if you look at Dean Thomas's background, like that dude went to jail on a felony for beating a dude with a wrench, if I remember right. So, people grow. And, I get that, but Greg Hardy clearly is not. So don't support that fucking giant idiot.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, Chris, that's a great segue into my next two topics. Okay, I've got a couple can't miss episodes that are really, really huge. You guys heard the first clip on the intro, which was the clip that Chris referenced, which is Esther Lynn talking about why she left the MMA space. And, she talks about it in this episode. Well, before I get into that clip, I guess I should segue into the entire episode. This is the Writing and Fighting Social Media and MMA panel that Nancy Kidder does for the American University. This was Nancy, Tanisha. I apologize for not doing last names on all these. If you guys have ever listened to these panels, you know what I'm talking about. If not, you can go ahead and listen to the panel, and we'll have a link in the description like we do for all the shows. And this show we highly, highly recommend. We've talked about it in the past. Actually, Nancy's reached out to us in the past, too, as well. She's a sweetheart, and we would absolutely love to do something with her in the future. Although I don't know how qualified we are to talk about MMA movies like she reached out to us about, but we are always on board for anything she's doing. So, but yeah, anyways, Nancy, Tanisha, I believe Tanisha Singleton, who's the PhD, Esther Lynn, Fernanda Proches, Brian Siskind, sorry about that, whose name I believe I'm pronouncing right from the Art of Fight podcast, Julie Kedzie, of course, Sabrina Razak, who is someone who formerly worked on a lot of studies about social media and gender social media kind of issues in cricket and a bunch of other sports in general. And then also Alex Gaffiti, Charles DeGisco. Alex Gaffiti, of course, not a journalist, but someone you guys would know from Twitter for just being the dopest motherfucker around and just being a great vocal voice for, voices who aren't necessarily represented as much. Also a social worker in Canada and just an all-around fucking sweetheart. She's always been very fucking nice every time I've ever engaged with her. Charles DeGisco, who is a student or former student of American University and who also owns a gym in the area. And then I believe there was somebody who joined late. Josh Rosenblatt, I believe, was the other person who joined late, if I remember right. Who I believe it was Josh Rosenblatt, who is helped write on the Chris Reaney book that I have. I'm moving, so it's somewhere in here. I'm not finding it easily, unfortunately, right this second. I know it's right around here, so I think it's right up there somewhere, but I can't go digging. Anyway, they had a big old discussion on how social media works in MMA, and especially how it works in regards to women in the sport, and just what they have to endure and deal with. And it's a very hard discussion. No pun intended. That was literally no pun intended. I feel very bad about that possibly being a pun. And let's just move on. Women, yeah, it's a lot of just the vitriol and the constant sexism they deal with, which I hopefully didn't just contribute to by accidentally making a pun. Again, not intentional. I'm super sorry. A lot of the talk at the beginning is about Fernanda Proches tweeted out, Chris, I don't know if you saw this. She tweeted out during the Joaquin Buckley KO, she was like, holy shit, I want to marry that knockout and have its babies. And then she got a bunch of fucking really weird comments afterwards about, like, how she's either a slut or horny, or how she's desperate for babies from black people, or just, like, all the worst shit online.
It sounds like fucked up Twitter and
exactly. But, like they discussed a lot in this episode, a lot of times we dismiss it as just fucked up Twitter too much. Whereas that is literally what, like, the problem is there's more of those voices than there is voices in support. And that's why those algorithms get worse, and it perpetuates those kinds of comments. So it's a lot of interesting discussions like that, where it's like, yeah, of course it's a bunch of terrible comments because there's a bunch of terrible people on Twitter. But also, the idea that we should just not... Like, they make a lot of good arguments for why you should make fun, supportive comments as a fucking kind of antidote to that problem. And I'm very much in support of it, man. I think the way to combat that shit is just to make fun, supportive comments on posts you like. Like, because there is way less of that on Twitter, and, like, really, that's what we... Like, if enough people do it, it drives the fucking algorithm that direction, right? So... Or supportive comments about people who are doing shitty things. Like, hey, if 45 people comment about somebody doing a shitty thing, and they're all saying the same thing, a lot of times they'll drive the algorithm to show less shitty things, you know? So it's interesting hearing those conversations, and it's, again, these are a lot of people who are not at all our voice as two white dudes in fucking San Diego. And that's why I really enjoy having them in the sport and hearing what they have to say, because... I listen to a lot of... Chris, you can attest to this. We listen to a lot of fucking white dudes talking about MMA, and it's really boring.
Yeah, there's no real...
They all talk about the same shit. Like, not all of them, but a lot of them. And, like, it's inherently gonna happen that way when you have a bunch of the same people talking about the same thing. Like, diversity in people is what causes diversity in content, which is what causes diversity in growth, which kind of just grows everyone as a whole, right? Because we all learn more, we all understand more, and it kind of just, I don't know, it's the shit I like. It's why I like rap music. It's why I like fucking food. That's why I like travel, you know? It's, the more you learn, the more different people you interact with, the more kind of world experience you have, so.
Yep.
And I feel like we often get away from that in America, as proven in the last couple of years. So yeah, I don't know. I guess actually that's the clip we're gonna play on the break here is the clip of, I believe it's Julie Kedzie explaining kind of a similar notion that I mean, it's kind of the spirit of this show. We've talked about it enough times so you guys don't have to hear it again, but like, you know how many white dudes we talking about MMA, and like, that's why we are always very excited to talk about not white dudes talking about MMA, or white dudes with different opinions talking about MMA, because like, we got enough motherfuckers just like, oh hey, here's the results and here's the next card, and not that there's not a place for that, but like, we don't diversity, y'all, it makes us all better. So I don't know, maybe I'm getting overly fucking drastic about it, but it was a big theme this week, it seemed. Chris, do you have any other catches you want, or can't misses you want to throw out?
I have mentions, but yeah, as far as catches, can't misses, no.
All right, I got one last can't miss, which is Shots Fired episode 12 for similar reasons. And honestly, there's a lot of interesting discussions in this episode. Like, only casuals are calling Khabib the GOAT, in their opinion. They're like, and they also talk about how DJ doesn't get nearly enough props in the GOAT discussion. But the most interesting thing in this episode is G, who we talked about earlier in the episode. People don't know she has a history in the police department. She talks about how she was a former. She talks about her history. I don't want to misquote it, but she was essentially, from what I understand, a former vice officer, plainclothes vice officer, eventually promoted to sergeant. Like worked kind of up through the ranks, and no longer with police department at all, from what I understand, although I don't know for sure. But she had a very interesting discussion where she brought to the table the discussion like, there's been a lot of talk about BJJ being a reformative thing for police. And so she reached out to 2 patrol officers she knows who she worked with, a patrol captain who she knows who she worked with, and a sergeant of the gun recovery unit who she knows who she worked with. And she asked all of them about making BJJ mandatory for the police and whether it'd help with police brutality problems. And oh fucking boy, did she get some responses. A lot of people were just like, Gina, you need to stop talking to these fucking civilians because they don't understand policing. And like, to even talk about choking people right now when I'm trying to get everybody to just not attack people at all, and you're talking about teaching them to choke people more effectively, that is not what we need right now. And that was not only captains who said that, but also just like actual people on the field who are like, I don't want to learn to choke people. I don't need to know that skill. And so it was a very, very interesting conversation that she had. And it's only I don't know anywhere else you can get that perspective. Not only from a female officer, but from a female officer who was in multiple different segments of the ranks in, I believe, in New York. And then also someone who's on the outside of it now and reaching out to people who she knows who are still involved. And one of the lady was literally like, Gina, why are you bringing this shit to me? Like, I'm trying to get these motherfuckers to not choke people. Hey, you want to teach them to choke people? So I don't know. It's a topic I have not heard discussed and I've not heard referenced as cleanly as she did. She was of course very respectful and like concealed everybody's name and everything. But like anybody who knows G knows like she's been around cops for a long time and she's been a cop and that's her background. So I don't know arguably almost anyone other than like Big John who's more qualified to talk about this, and arguably G has been way more relevant in police work more recently than Big John has. So I just thought it was really interesting and a topic you won't get in on any other MMA podcast, much less from a black gay woman who is having these conversations with fellow police officers. And so, yeah, there's a reason why Shots Fired is a special show, and G is just one part of that. And I think it's absolutely worth checking out, and it's an important thing to listen to.
Well, that does sound interesting, and I think important as well.
Yeah, right? Like, it's definitely one of those things where I just have never heard those conversations from someone who's getting actual cops' opinions that she's referencing. Like, she's, like, not directly quoting cops, but she's like, these are my cop friends who I called, and this is what they told me. And half of them yelled at me to shut the fuck up and stop talking to civilians because they don't understand shit. And they don't understand that cops are just trying not to fucking attack people more. So teaching them to choke people isn't going to help shit. Which, yeah, good point, to be honest. Real good point. Let's see. All right. Do you have any new shows this week?
Oh, no, not this week.
All right, so real briefly, I have a couple new shows. I listened to the Brit Pack for November 3rd, 2020. It's hosted by Simon Head and Shamat Karsandhu. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Sandhu. Apologies if I'm not. This was a show that originally started, this was going back in 2017. And I looked it up, and it doesn't look like we ever talked about it, although I did know it was around. But they ended right around the time I was going to cover it, which was right at the Mayweather-McGregor fight. This is their last episode. And they took a break off up until this recent May, and they just started back up. So it's interesting to hear them back in the space. Because there's not a lot, there's only a couple British-focused, or even European-focused MMA podcasts. So it's always interesting to hear more of them. They both actually, I believe it was Simon Head recommended the CFFC cards that happened last week. He said he really enjoyed those and they're worth going back and looking at, which I might actually do this weekend. They talk a lot about Anderson's retirement and the somber mood. Of course, Dana being pretty shitty about all of it. They talk about future matchups for that heavyweight woman beater who no one cares about.
Yep.
They talk about the one card and Bellator 250. They argued that Kevin Holland deserves a push by the UFC at this point, which, man, hard to argue. And I believe I just saw right before this, Kevin Holland just got announced versus somebody. I don't know if you want to look that up real quick. But I believe that literally just got announced. He's stepping in against somebody who just dropped out. But if you just search Kevin Holland on Twitter, it'll show up.
Are you talking about him fighting Hermanson? Because I already.
Oh yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah, because Darren Till got hurt.
Yeah, Darren Till got hurt, so he's stepping in against Hermanson. So that's gonna be fun as hell for sure. And and then they talk a little bit about Khabib's retirement and whether that's gonna stick or whether I think Simon called for Khabib versus Tony if Khabib does fight again.
I mean, that's what we all want, but I doubt that.
But like at this point, it's hard to like root too hard for that shit. And then they also talk a little bit about Santos versus Teixeira, but yeah, just really solid episode. Definitely a strong like British perspective. Very much has like a kind of Eurobash kind of vibe to it, or that's not even the best example. I would almost say more of like a One Punch Pod kind of vibe to it, but yeah, I enjoyed it for sure. And I'm subscribed, so I'll definitely listen to it here and there. So yeah, worth checking out. And then the other new show I listened to is Fight Night Picks Early Stoppage, episode 19. I swear to God, I've listened to Early Stoppage before from Fight Night Picks, but I'm evidently it's not on our fucking notes on our podcast we've talked about on our show, or on our website rather. So I don't know what happened, but I could have sworn we've talked about this before. This is the show hosted by Craig Allen and John Franklin, and they do a big UFC Lightweight Grand Prix episode. Pretty quick pace. They basically bring up a bunch of talking points and kind of counterpoint that shit between the two of them. It's like I said, it's really well paced. It moves really quickly. They cover a lot of stuff. I like it quite a bit. They talk about stuff like, will we ever see Khabib in the cage again? Is John Jones right or being petty? Chimaev versus Edwards getting booked. What's the future for Bellator? Is Khabib overrated or underrated? Once a fighter is a Hall of Famer, should you dismiss any downfalls later in their career? And I believe it was John Franklin. I hope that I'm quoting him correctly, but I think it was him who said that part of what the fighter's downfall can be due to how they spend their money, which is that's something I've never really thought about. But like some of the fighters, he brings up that like some fighters have a way harder fall in their career because they spend their money poorly, so they're forced to fight way too far into it. Whereas the guys like GSP who are very smart with their money, you don't see them fighting super deep into their career because number one, they were paid well and they negotiated well, and number two, they spent their money smartly. And that's like something you don't see is like the kind of GOAT discussions or pound for pound discussions get weird when you're like, oh yeah, kind of part of why this dude's legacy stayed more intact is just because he spent his money smarter. So then it gets kind of weird, you know? Like, did BJ Penn spend his money smarter or dumber than GSP? Or like, fucking Anderson Silva, you know? It gets to be like, at a certain point, you're like, how much are we just taxing dudes for spending money badly on their legacy? So, worth bringing up at an interesting point, anyway. Let's see, you said you had some honorable mentions?
Yeah. I have MMA on the Rocks as an honorable mention.
Hell yeah. I believe he was back with, I believe Jeff was back this week, right?
I believe so. They talked about Silva's legacy. They said, what's crazy is Rich Franklin might possibly be the greatest middleweight ever if Anderson Silva never went to the UFC. I mean, that's all in hindsight. We wouldn't even
His record looks real good, to be fair.
Yeah. I think I mentioned Heavy Hands. If not, they talked about Anderson Silva's legacy, and it was sad watching him fight Uriah Hall. They kind of briefly previewed tomorrow's fight card.
That's right. Also, shouts out to the resurrection of Phil McKenzie after.
Yep. Other than that, I think that's what I had for honorable mentions.
Cool. I got a couple. Let's see. I'll crank through these. The Fight Site episode 30. Danny was out because I believe, if I remember right, I believe Shram said that he was body punching a house fire, which is why he was out that week. So Haxerized and Iggy from Tinkerdome guested. It was fucking awesome. Iggy was hungover. It was a fucking great episode. A lot of talk about whether or not Habib's a top great. and like whether Bobby Knuckles' performance or how great Bobby's Knuckles' performance was, despite him almost dying at the end of it. It was just a fun episode, and I liked it quite a bit. The Fight Site's interview with Jillian Robertson. Speaking of the Fight Site, French Phil. I'm not even try and butcher Phil's name, but Phil from the Fight Site interviewed Jillian Robertson again on October 29th. It's awesome. I love Phil's interviews with Jillian. I think they're great. Talking about her getting her black belt from Dean and how she's living across the street from him with Shorty Torres, which I actually talked about earlier. And she talks a lot about how she focuses a lot on, in her game, putting all the weight that she possibly can on her opponent rather than the mat. And that's something you don't hear from a lot of fighters, and it kind of explains a lot of the weight that she seems to put on women when she's fighting them. Like, because when you do watch her fight, she's constantly putting her full body weight and just stretching girls out pretty easily. And it's interesting to hear her say that, like, that's a specific focus of hers. She also talked a lot about how they focus a lot on breaking down grips, and how that leads to a lot of her ground and pound. It's just like focusing on grips and breaking grips. And so, yeah, just really very technical, very interesting discussion with Jillian Robertson. I really liked it. MMA stories for October 28th was really solid. Habib retiring, and Monty tells some crazy riot stories about some events he had that like just turned into fucking just straight riots of people like throwing people off of balconies and shit like that, like it's a goddamn 70s movie. Between rounds for October 30th, Luke and Fury came back on, and they had a really cool in-depth discussion about the old school kind of reign of Anderson and Prime BJ Penn being one of the best ever. Best Game of My Life, episode 2 with Evelyn Rodriguez was really, really solid. I really enjoyed that. Co-main event, episode 425 was a lot of fun. Chad had a great analogy about how everyone keeps wanting to say that fighters are going to retire and then not fight again, but we've been in the MMA barbershop for a long time. How many fighters come in saying they're not going to get a haircut and leave with a haircut? Which I thought was a great analogy and was almost a clip this week. As well as CME episode 426 was really good. Verbal Tap episode 433. Kevin is still out, so Keith and Dan joined Raph again. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Dan Tom definitely not bragging about his win, but still, I appreciate Raph not letting Keith off the hook for the 20 Jack in the Box tacos, and I'm looking forward to that video. Let's see. Oh, TJ Santos and Nick Albert's podcast on Between Rounds Radio finally has a motherfucking name. It's called Your Favorite MMA Podcast with TJ Santos and Nick Albert. Because it is your favorite MMA podcast with TJ Santos and Nick Albert. Because it's the only one. Clever name, and I fucks with it. And the only two things I did not get to this week was the Fight Site did a Patreon episode about who would win in the Fight Site Drafts action movie protagonist list, and Chris, I'm gonna send you this picture on the break, but it's just an action movie protagonist list. I think Kevin McAllister might be on it somewhere. Oh, I know Rambo is. I think Rampage is on there somewhere. And also Ben, who hosted it, is high as shit during the whole thing, from what I understand. Again, I've not had a chance to listen to it yet, but it sounds fucking awesome. So, highly recommend that. And then, and also the Fight Site's Patreon is $3 a month if you want to go listen to that. So that's probably worth it. And then the Protect Your Neck, episode 229, speaking of the Fight Site, Dan Tom had on Ben Cohn to talk about the top 5 thick with 2 C's fighters in MMA. I'm assuming they're all dudes. I'm not going to lie. I think they're all going to be dudes. I'm here for it. I think it's going to be fucking a hilarious discussion about how thick Hector Lombard is versus Tyron Woodley. And I'm fucking here for that shit. It's going to be good content. So again, I have not listened to it yet. It might come up next week even. But I got to give it a shout out if you're going to be just putting that kind of content out there. So big shouts to that. Chris, did you have any well-rounded stuff you wanted to give a shout out to before we go on break?
No, that's it for me.
Well, Chris, I have one first recommendation for you is Actually, I have two recommendations for you. One of which you did actually listen to, which is Death in the West.
That's right. Yep.
So Death in the West is the podcast hosted by the brother of Chad Dundas from the Co-Main Event podcast. And it is an old school Montana kind of Wild West storytelling podcast. Kind of somewhere between Red Dead and Serial is how I'd describe it probably.
Yeah, I'd say that.
And what did you think about it? Because you listened to a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just like how they, I don't know, just their fact finding, their investigations into just the whole ordeal, the whole crime itself that happened like almost 100 years ago. Was impressive, and that they were committed to it. I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah, and the production is
great.
wild, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really well done. So that's definitely a big recommendation from us. The other one is Chris. I don't know if you saw. Co-Main Event also put out. Oh, well, you know what? You're probably not a $10 patron, so you probably did not get access to the Co-Main Event's Leprechaun in the Hood movie commentary. You see that they put that out?
Yeah, I don't have access to that.
Oh boy. First off, let me say, as a big fan of Leprechaun in the Hood, while I recognize it's a bad movie, you gotta realize I'm also a big fan of trauma movies and of Fight Valley, so we'll put that out there. But oh my god, is it so goddamn fun? It's the dumbest movie. Leprechaun in the Hood's the dumbest movie, and Ben Folks gets so mad at it. It's a lot of fun. The commentary is arguably just as fun as the movie because of how mad Ben Folks gets at the movie. The best part is when he starts trying to figure out the rules of Leprechaun, and in the movie where he's a leprechaun and Ice Cube is in it, and it's things happen. Let me just put it that way. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I will say one of my favorite podcasts of all time, which I tweeted about this week, and actually you guys, if you look at our Twitter, you guys saw some of the creators of that show. Give me some love for it because they are San Diego legends who used to be on a 103.7 Free FM, which Chris, you probably remember from like the 2000 era, like back when people were barely listening to radio. They were like a morning show back then, and this is low budget FM. And it was back then the cast varied, but of course John Salwin, Todd Perry. I almost said Todd Barry and Todd Duffy. Both were wrong. Not Todd Duffy. Todd Perry. God damn it. I'm in trouble now. Mike Chaffee and Mark Chambers. This is like a very old school reference for me. But they are it was one of the first podcasts I really got into. These also are the guys who basically set up Corolla's entire podcast network. Mike Chaffee is the guy who started Corolla's podcast and arguably the first producer in MMA podcasting. It's either him or Adam, what's-his-face, who claims it. And it's really just a matter of how much you recognize MP3 files versus RSS feeds. Which is a debate that's been had, but it's a fucking incredible show, and it's entirely available on their website. Highly recommend it. You want some just dudes drinking hard, like they're just drinking cases of height and talking shit on air, and it's a blast. Also shouting out just like they're just Korean restaurants that they love and shit like that. Very much in the vibe of this show. Speaking of in the vibe of this show, Zakamiko's Midnight Spook Show is Zakamiko has a show where he does commentaries over horror shows, and it's the fucking best. He recently had Dan Soder and Shane Gillis on for Pet Sematary. He also had Louis J. Gomez and Big J. Okerson on for I forget what movie, but another good horror movie. That was a lot of fun. Can't recommend it highly enough. Ton of fun. Issues with Andy. The Issues with Andy podcast, which is Andy Andrus, the comedian, Chad Shank, the Doug Stanhope affiliate, Greg Shaley, who is the manager of Doug Stanhope, and Brent Erickson, who's a comedian. Wait, did I say Brett? No, Andy Anderson, Brett Erickson. And so they essentially all went to Death Valley to do a podcast over a couple days, where they're just in the desert in Death Valley taking drugs at a campsite and recording it and doing a podcast, and it's a lot of fun. It is on Patreon for good reason. I highly recommend it. It's you literally see a daytime episode with them hanging out in the Death Valley, and you see a nighttime episode with them hanging out in Death Valley, and you can tell the difference in the drugs that are on. So it's a lot of fun. And then lastly, the only other thing I had is Simply Sick. SMPLSCK, I believe, is the initials on YouTube. He has an awesome YouTube channel who we've talked about in the past. It's mostly all weed reviews. But he's a big MMA fan too, and he's thinking about doing MMA podcasts and videos. So I have told him I hope he fucking does it. Like I don't know if you guys have noticed, I tell everybody that. Anytime I hear anyone say, "Should I start a podcast?" I say yes, because I'll listen. You don't have to start a good podcast. Just start a podcast, for fuck's sake. Someone will listen. I will listen. If you start a podcast and you're listening right now, let me know. I will listen. So yeah, a lot of fun. So on that note, Chris, we're gonna wrap this here, and then we're gonna come back for this very quick breakdown.
Yeah.
Because
I gotta something. There's a lot of noise. I keep hearing. I don't know if it's the dog going crazy. I don't know. Or my brother's. I hold on. I gotta.
Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this segment here, and we'll be right back for the next segment. So hold on for this break, and we'll be back. While Chris goes and fights whoever's attacking his dog. Also, I should say real quick, this clip is of the Writing and Fighting panel discussion about that as well, which this one features, I believe, well, you guys will hear it. We'll talk about it when we get back.
Your door clicking out.
Liked by the sound of violence.
I think to that point, or in extension of that, what a tragic loss it is, because we're losing geniuses like Esther. We're losing texture, and we're losing beauty, and we're losing it's becoming homogenous, boring bullshit. Right. And it's like, I mean, in those spaces, like, why would you want, and no one would want to go in a space where they're, it's making them not happy to do their job or do anything. I don't want to speak for you, Esther. I'm just trying to paraphrase kind of what you were saying. But then it's just, and then people complain about how boring it is. This and that, everything's the same. Well, yeah, motherfuckers, because you're getting rid of the people who make it hard.
Generation, are you excited about it all?
Liked by the sound of violence.
I find myself wanting harm to come to strangers because they can't behave online. And I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to sit here wishing that other people would just die or go away just because they're jerks online. But it's hard not to feel that after a while. You just lose faith. And I didn't want to do that. And so I departed for that reason. And then in addition to the fact that I felt like, you know, I had gotten to a certain point in my career where this is not something I need to do on the side. But then, you know, they one of my MMA fighting, one of their most popular posts ended up being my retirement clip on Instagram, which I didn't realize was a thing. And the comments proved why I left, right? So half the comments were like, who is this? I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And then the other half were like, she lost my respect. And I, you know, it doesn't matter that she's a good photographer. She lost my respect when she said Black Lives Matter. And I thought, well, this is the reason why I don't want to do this anymore.
by the sound of violence.
I think to that point, or in extension of that, what a tragic loss it is because we're losing geniuses like Esther. We're losing texture and we're losing beauty and we're losing it's becoming homogenous, boring bullshit. Right. And it's like, I mean, in those spaces, like, why would you want, and no one would want to go in a space where they're, it's making them not happy to do their job or do anything. Right. I don't want to speak for you, Esther. I'm just trying to paraphrase kind of what you were saying. But then it's just, and then people complain about how boring it is. To, this and that, everything's the same. Well, yeah, motherfuckers, because you're getting rid of the people who make it hard.
Different generation, are you excited about it all?
By the sound of violence.
I find myself wanting harm to come to strangers because they can't behave online. And I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to sit here wishing that other people would just die or go away just because they're jerks online. But it's hard not to feel that after a while. You just lose faith. And I didn't want to do that, and so I departed for that reason. And then, in addition to the fact that I felt like, I'd gotten to a certain point in my career where this is not something I need to do on the side. But then, one of my MMA fighting, one of their most popular posts ended up being my retirement clip on Instagram, which I didn't realize was a thing. And the comments proved why I left, right? So half the comments were like, who is this? I don't care, blah, blah, blah. And then the other half were like, she lost my respect. And it doesn't matter that she's a good photographer. She lost my respect when she said Black Lives Matter. And I thought, well, this is the reason why I don't want to do this anymore.
Liked by the sound of violence.
I think to that point, or in extension of that, what a tragic loss it is, because we're losing geniuses like Esther. We're losing texture, and we're losing beauty, and we're losing it's becoming homogenous, boring bullshit.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, in those spaces, like, why would you want, and no one would want to go in a space where they're, it's making them not happy to do their job or do anything. I don't want to speak for you, Esther. I'm just trying to paraphrase kind of what you were saying. But then it's just, and then people complain about how boring it is. This and that, everything's the same. Well, yeah, motherfuckers, because you're getting rid of the people who make it hard.
Different generation, are you excited about it all?
All right, everyone, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
We are back to briefly preview UFC Fight Night Santos versus Teixeira, also known as UFC Vegas 13, I believe.
That's right. Are you still drinking the same beer?
Yep. This is at the UFC Apex Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, a state that is currently being counting votes like they are all run by sloths, but it's all good.
I mean, to be fair, it's because they weren't allowed to count votes.
Anyways, your new president will likely be Joe Biden tomorrow. Doesn't matter. Let's get to the fights.
Hey, my new president is still Shannon Knapp. God damn it.
Touche. Let's see. First up, we have a men's bantamweight bout between Gustavo Lopez and Anthony Burchak.
Ooh, very close on that read. But if he was Anthony Burchak, I might take him in this. But I'm going to go with Gustavo Lopez. I'm not going to lie.
I'm going to go Gustavo Lopez as well because I don't know who to pick. I'm just going to agree with you.
So you actually might remember Burchak because you probably saw him fight back when he was in the UFC against Joe Soto back in 2015 or against Delano Lopez or Thomas Almeida.
All those names ring a bell.
Whistle. Like, I know you saw those fights back in 2015-ish. However, he then left Horizon, went on a 3-fight loss streak, got a win, a win in Kambache, or 2 wins in Kambache, and a win in LFA, and he's back to the UFC because they're desperate for talent. Anthony Burchak, to be fair, didn't look terrible in those Horizon fights from what I remember. Well, at least in some of the later ones. Although he still did get split decision losses in the last 2. But then again, split decision loss in Japan, take that for what it's worth. That being said, though, I got to take the dude who went to decision against Merab Dvalishvili. I can't not take him. Like, if you're going the distance with Merab and you're at least surviving in some of the grappling exchanges, the only way I see that Anthony Burchak wins this is off of a very rough split decision or a random shot. I don't think Gustavo's going to get subbed, and if he's not going to get subbed, I think it's going to be a tough night.
So the odds brought to you by Sheamus, of course.
Who do you got?
I got Lopez.
Do you got a method on that?
I'm gonna go decision.
All right. Yeah, I'm going back and forth, but I'm probably gonna get a decision as well, just because I think he's probably gonna I think he's gonna do well enough to look good early, and then Burchak will probably win the third, but it won't be enough to get the finish.
So Lopez is a minus 125 to a plus 100 over Burchak. Take that as you will.
Sounds about right. Brought to you by Sheamus, right?
Brought to you by Sheamus, of course. This next fight is a men's welterweight between Max Griffin and I'm going to say this dude's name way the fuck wrong, Ramiz Brahimaj.
I think you might have nailed it. I mean, it's not far off at least. I wouldn't imagine.
Let me kind of preview this. I was just going to say...
Sure, yeah.
I was going to say I
think
Max Griffin's going to win, but let's go ahead and see.
Why don't you take a look?
Max Griffin is on a 2-fight skid currently with 2 top fights. He lost a decision to Alex Morono and a close split decision loss to Alex Oliveira. Ramiz Brahimaj, this is his UFC debut. He's an LFA veteran. Looks like he's pretty savvy with jiu-jitsu. He has a lot of choke finishes. Looks like he loves the rear naked choke and the guillotine choke. Mm-hmm. Even an arm triangle in his repertoire. He's 8-2, so still pretty young in his professional career as far as fights go. Max Griffin is 15-8. He's a UFC veteran. Yeah, man, let me see. Max Griffin looks like he's never really been subbed.
True, but...
Actually, that's not true. Well, an exhibition bout he was subbed, and the Ultimate Fighter Season 16.
Yeah, no, he's not going to get subbed, but he's had a bunch of decision losses.
Top 16. That's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, you would remember him against, who was it that he fought on there? He fought somebody notable.
Was that the season of Michael Johnson? No, that was like season... That was like season 19, excuse me. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but...
I gotta go back and watch some more Tough.
Maybe not. Depends on the season.
Well, the old ones.
Yeah. But, so, there's one big noticeable difference in this that I'm finding, and you can give your pick first if you want, or you can wait and figure it out. It's up to you.
I literally have zero attention span, so you can go ahead and let me know.
Okay, well, I got 2 reads on this. Number 1, Max Griffin's been losing a lot of close decisions.
I saw that.
Number 2, Rami's Brahimaj. Hopefully I'm not fucking up your name, my guy.
That sounds pretty correct to me.
Pretty decent. Pretty decent run as of late in LFA, which LFA is a well-known organization. His 2 losses have been via decision, and most notably, he's out of Fortis MMA.
Ooh.
Which is the big standout for me. So I'm gonna go Brahimaj by decision. But
yeah, so
I could easily see Max Griffin winning out a scrappy decision on this. It kind of just depends on what we get out of Brahimaj.
That's very fair.
So which way are you leaning?
I'm also gonna go Brahimaj because if you're consistently losing close decisions with Griffin, that means it's either not putting the pressure, putting a pace on early, or he's too little too late. And I'm not taking that away from him. I'm sure those are all very competitive fights.
Well, and they were a lot of those were close, and some of those he won, in my opinion. So
I remember you know what? I think about there was one fight where I thought he was like, "That's fucked."
Yeah.
Let me actually see. Let me look at his thing.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
oh no, I'll look and I'll tell you immediately which one it was. It was the Cowboy fight. I'm pretty fucking sure he won. And it was Thiago Alves. No, he won the fight. I remember that. That was bullshit. That was a bullshit decision. I remember that one 100%.
I remember one of them being rough, yeah.
Because I think he had a knockdown like the 3rd round. I still gave it to Alves. I was like, okay then.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think he knocked him down. Yeah, okay. Well, good luck to Max Griffin. Because I had Brahimaj. But Max Griffin's tough shit, so we'll see.
Yeah, he could easily scrap out a decision on that.
The odds brought to you by Sheamus, of course. We have Max Griffin is the favorite at a -132 to a +118 over Brahimaj.
Huh.
So take that.
That's bigger than I would have thought, but then again, him winning a close decision is totally in the cards. So
to talk about the poster boy, never mind, I'm not going to go through this joke.
For damage?
We got the poster boy for Stand and Bang,
yeah.
and just I Am Rocky, Darren Elkins, the damage.
Makes me feel bad every time.
Yep, going up against Uruguayan fighter Eduardo Garagori.
Mm-hmm.
Darren Elkins, last time we saw him, well, he's currently in a 4-fight skid.
Yeah, he hasn't won a fight since January of 2018.
He's got heart. He really should be called Darren the Heart, or I don't know.
No,
man. This dude,
I feel like his nickname is pretty accurate. It just sucks that they called it out to everybody in the world.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, he takes damage. Well,
yeah, like, hey, maybe don't give us an opponent to target. Like, that seems like a bad plan for a nickname.
I just remember his.
It's
last
like
fight,
being like,
it's
like calling him Darren
thrown into a gladiator arena, and they're like, well, your face is getting slashed in half, and it's like, all right.
That was the was that the Ryan Hall fight?
No, that was his last fight against Nate Lindor.
Yeah, what I remember of Darren Elkins at a certain point is just being like, yo, you might as well call a dude who's bad at body shots the body shot. Like, why are you calling out the problem? Yes, the thing he has the most trouble with. Seems like bad. It's like calling a fucking fighter who's bad at grappling a black belt. It seems like you're if nothing else, you're causing problems you don't need to cause, right?
I agree. I am leaning Darren Elkins this fight, though, based on... I know he's lost 4 in a row, but look who he's fought. Those names compared to Eduardo Garagori. No, I'm not taking anything...
No, 100% had way more competitive fights.
I'm gonna go Darren Elkins via decision, because that's always really a fucking war with this guy. He's fun to watch, but if you dislike the sight of blood, turn away from this fight, 100%.
Well, So I'm going exactly the same way because Garagori can't wrestle for shit from what I've seen. Or at least not compared to Elkins. So as long as Elkins decides to wrestle, he should clearly win this fight if he can do it for 3 rounds, which based on his cardio and based on how his game works, you would think he should be able to, because a lot of his wins, like the classic win that everyone remembers from against Bektic, was fucking 3rd round or whatever, right?
Yep,
so
I remember that was a great finish.
You would figure Elkins has good cardio if he wants to push it, and he absolutely has the grappling advantage in this fight, at least in the wrestling advantage. So this is literally an IQ test that, good God, if he doesn't pass it, might be done watching.
Just retired. If you could. The odds brought to you by Seamus. We have Elkins at a -250 to a +200
That's
of
about
Garagori. Right. Take that as you will. I did not queue up this next fight. Where the fuck are we at? Oh, I see. We got Marcos Ogirio de Lima versus Alexander Romanov. I have 0 clue who's going to win this. I think I'll have you take this away.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead
if you don't mind.
Romanov.
So we got 2 thick boys fighting.
True, but Romanov is a 12-0 southpaw out of Eagles MMA.
Ooh.
At whatever weight class this is.
So Eagles meaning like that's like a Habib's like sub camp.
That would be the one. And this is Eagles MMA the promotion, or Eagles Fighting Championship, I should say. But still, like the same feeder league, right? And this is a 12-0 southpaw who's a heavyweight. So
his name's King Kong, so he probably hits pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, well, and he also is a pretty good wrestler. He's fighting Marcos Ogirio de Lima, who Marcos Ogirio de Lima just beat a southpaw in Ben Sasoli. However, Ben Sasoli is super foot slow and super hand slow, which is notoriously his problem.
Well, he better be quick because he's getting in prison soon. So.
Oh, I forgot about that. Well, yeah, I guess not that hand slower. He wouldn't have killed
the guy.
Again,
he's a professional fighter, so I think he'll be able to hold his own in prison if anyone wants to fuck with him.
Yeah, but like also.
Again, prison rules are different. No one cares, so.
I don't care. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, good luck,
my
Ben
point.
Sasoli.
Yeah, no good luck, Ben Sasoli. Maybe don't assault people in bars. Pro tip: I hate Chris. Wild stat. I've never assaulted anybody in a bar. That's not true. I've assaulted one person outside.
Yourself a professional fighter?
No, I was gonna say I actually have assaulted one person outside of a bar. So I'm lying, but I just slapped him in the mouth for saying too many things. So.
That's when I know I'm kidding.
You were there for that, actually, I believe.
I think.
I think you might have been, because I know your bandmates were.
When I think you're lying, I go to Reddit under r that happened.
Yeah. My point being, I honestly think like either Romanov lights up Ogirio de Lima on the feet and then takes him down, or he just straight grapples him the whole time. I think either way he gets the decision pretty easily.
Yeah.
I think he probably gets a sub late just because Ogirio de Lima seems to get subbed after he starts fading pretty quickly if he loses grappling or striking exchanges. So I'm going to go probably Romanov sub second, but I'm not.
Well, these odds are interesting.
I mean, it's because nobody's done the tape study.
I mean, I'm going Romanov via WrestleFuck decision.
Yeah, I think Romanov decision is probably the right move, to be fair.
And the odds brought to you by
I would not be surprised if Ogirio de Lima looks okay, just because that dude throws hands on the feet. But, like, also, I just think he's going to get immediately WrestleFucked like he does.
Yeah. So here we are. We got odds at a -500 in favor of Romanov to a +380 of
Holy
Ogirio.
shit! Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's way too wide, dude. That's way too wide. What are the odds for Romanov getting a finish via sub?
Let me see. Romanov by sub is +130.
That's a good line. I would hit that. If you're gonna play that, play the fight, I would play the sub line. What's the inside the distance line?
For Romanov?
Yeah.
The fuck?
If there is one.
Okay. Minus 350.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, I would play that sub line all day. Because the odds of him getting a TKO are way less than him getting a sub. Just because
Romanov by TKO is plus 165.
That's actually not terrible either. You should probably just play both of those if you're gonna play one of them. Because it's way better odds than inside the distance. Which is dumb as shit. Why the fuck is inside the distance like 4 times the worst odds of either of those? It's fucking. I don't understand.
Was the men's
matchmaking
featherweight bout between Giga Chikadze, Georgian fighter, going up against American fighter Jamie Simmons.
UFC trying to kill man.
Yeah.
No, this is Bellator ass matchmaking right here. The fuck are we doing? So
we got Giga Chikadze by like massive knockout.
Yeah, in the first because Giga Chikadze has a. Oh, by the way, shout out Giga Chikadze. You know, his city council member is, of course, Tito Ortiz. He's at Kings MMA. And he's at Huntington Beach.
Hey, Chris, you down to recount 4 million votes with me? I'll volunteer.
Yeah, as long as Tito counts them all in front of us. I'll watch that. I'll live stream that every goddamn. Yo, I would. You know how much money we could raise to get Tito to count the votes? You know how much money we could get to live stream Tito's like picking votes? Oh my god, that'd be the most money. Oh my god, I would pay $100 to watch Tito out loud.
I would also tell him that this would be. He has to say that God hates masks. That'd make it more fun.
I mean, he'll say it on his own, bro. You should have to give him a mic. Oh my god. Anyway, I hate Tito. Where were we? Oh right, Giga Chikadze versus
by a million
Jamie.
points, he's gonna win.
I mean, yes, but like also.
Want to hear these odds? I'll tell you the funny odds.
I mean, they gotta be wide as shit.
Yeah. So
like
brought to you by Bellator. We have.
It's gotta be like 700-800, right?
I'll tell you this is the widest ones.
What's the like regular one?
Average. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what's the one like we normally go with?
My shitty math here, I would say the average right here is a minus 763 to a plus 587.
Yeah, what did I say, 800?
Yeah. Want to hear the widest odds?
Oh, I mean, they go like 1,300?
Not that big. Minus 950 to a plus 650.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's insane they're even making this fight. What are the odds for Giga inside the distance? Let's go with you know what? Who's recently sponsoring?
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Let me look up which site is sponsoring the fight site, and we'll go with whoever that is. Because I want to use a sponsor who's actually sponsoring somebody. Because I don't want to just throw odds out there. I mean, we're still gonna say it's by Sheamus, but we'll also say who the fuck the sponsor is on the fight site. Because, I mean, okay, god damn it, it's the fight dash site. The fucking URL is not my favorite. Hey, I'm gonna have to buy the fight site a better URL. The fight dash site dot. I'm just gonna buy fuckkyle.com and I'm gonna forward that shit to their actual goddamn website. Where's the what was I looking for? God damn it!
Inside the distance for Chikadze.
Wow, why was it going to the fight site?
I don't know.
I don't remember either.
Well, anyways.
Right, because they have a goddamn ad for I don't know. They don't have a clear banner, so
Chikadze inside the distance is minus 190.
Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Only minus 190?
Yeah. How about this dude by decision plus 275? I like that.
Wait, Chikadze by 275 plus?
Yep.
That's not bad. What's Chikadze by KO? It's gotta be the same, right?
Minus 160.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you probably. I don't know.
And if you just, even though it's probably
he should get the finish.
Simmons by decision is plus 1,000. All right.
To be fair, if you have like CME would say $20, you never want to see again. Yeah.
Let's see.
But 100%. I got Giga via KO first. What do you got?
I do too.
Might be second. Might be decision. But dude, Giga should absolutely stomp, dude.
Next up, we have a men's middleweight bout between Trevin Giles and Bevon Lewis.
Nailed it. Yeah, no, you nailed it. And I'm having real trouble figuring out what the fuck I think about this fight. I've been going back and forth all night.
So I already have my decision, and it's based on zero logic.
It's based on Trevin Giles just looking better?
No.
And Bevon Lewis?
Can I tell you my
Or is it based on Bevon Lewis training with John Jones? Because I will fucking end this call right now.
No, I see, because I had no clue about that, and
I think he does. I might have been making that up.
So
actually.
I was gonna choose Bevon Lewis because his nickname is Extraordinary Gentleman, and Sean Connery died, and he was gonna leave Extraordinary Gentleman. That's my reasoning, and I have no clue why. I told you it's based on zero logic.
Oh, so it's like how you think The Rock would beat Trevin Giles because Sean Connery died?
No, because that's based on Rock.
I know, but it still works.
Yeah.
It's still named The Rock. Oh god damn! I could pull some jingly.
Good spread.
Yeah.
Good spread. Stanley Good spread.
You know what I'm talking about.
Figure out of your fucking mind.
I'll pull some beautiful green balls out here in a minute.
Yeah. Or what's the thing? Eat that, you fuck.
I love that movie. It's an all-time great. Oh.
Nicolas Cage in the 90s was the shit. I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, to be fair, you say that, but Nicolas Cage in the 2000s might have been better. The fucking the bees, bro. The Wicker Man with the bees.
Okay, hold on, I know, but
no, 90s... you know what? You're right, because I forgot about. Oh wait, you can't see me doing the hand motions, but let's go.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Donnie, Lowrider.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Eleanor, dog.
Yeah. So you got Con Air, you got Face Off.
You're right. You know, Face Off is it's the end all be all. We're done after that conversation. Yeah,
that's it. And then
that's the answer.
It's just amazing. Yeah,
you're right. To be fair, all the bad ones are in the 2000s, and I love them for that. But
he has like one or two good films. It's like Adaptation and Matchstick Men are like both great films, and if else no, they're not. It's like that's it.
Yeah, but like also. Raise your hand if you've ever gone back and watched Adaptation or Matchstick Men for a second time. No one in the world. No
it's basically you're just like this. You're like, yeah, that's a good film, and then that's it.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of Wicker Man, where I'm like, I need to watch that again right now because I don't know what kind of fucking horrors I just subjected myself to. Yeah, exactly.
Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey.
The OG fucking The OG, what's that fucking white people film that everybody likes? Midsummer? The OG Midsummer.
Oh, Midsommar. Yeah.
It's I love how you pronounce it like that, like a fucking white person.
Well, isn't it supposed to, aren't they like Scandinavian?
I mean, technically that would make it Midsummer, not Midsommar, right?
I don't fucking know. I thought that's how it's pronounced because they're a bunch of Danish pricks, but I'm probably wrong.
I think it's some more if you're gonna pronounce it like that, right? Because the umlaut makes it a hard O, I believe. Yeah.
It's a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed assholes. Who cares?
Well, to be fair, that movie is very artsy.
I saw part of the movie. I'm like, this is just fucking gross.
I thought it was fine. It was just very artsy in like a way that like it seemed. I'm sure there are references I'm not getting.
Like it was shot great. Like it, like the.
Well, that's the thing. Is like it feels like one of those movies that like I bet if I sat in a film like like an hour and a half study on why all the things it's referencing about Scandinavian culture and European culture, I bet it would have like 1,400 references I didn't know about.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I was just very jaded going into that. I'm like, am I gonna get grossed out? I'm like, oh.
It's also just like at this point in my life, I can't. Watching a movie about 14 white people is tough, bro. Because I don't. Any room I'm in, it's not 14 white people.
Your boyfriend cheated on you unknowingly, so just kill him.
Yeah, anyway. let's not. Let's move on. Trevor Giles. Who are we picking in this? I hate this fight.
Von Lewis, because rest in peace, Sean Connery.
I'm going Trevor Giles, but for no good reason other than like I guess I just don't have any faith in Von Lewis after that. I mean, he won a very decisive performance over Dequan Townsend, but also Dequan Townsend just kind of threw fucking wild heaters that no one was gonna land. And I feel like Trevor Giles is very much that same exact dude, but with poise and sharpness on the strikes. And I feel like that's going to really... But Von Lewis is going to have to either out-wrestle him or have an answer. And I don't know what the fuck that answer is going to be other than to show up a little bit. So, yeah, I'm going Giles. Probably TKO second. Actually, maybe I'll go... Yeah.
The odds brought to you by Sheamus. I got Lewis by decision, because why not?
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably the smart move. I'm having trouble figuring out what Von Lewis's game is.
Wow, these odds are actually surprising, if I'm honest. You got Lewis as a minus 125 to a plus 100.
There's a lot of very even odds on this card. You said you had Lewis by decision?
Yep.
Yeah, I've actually, from what I understand, there's a bunch of very, very split lines. Which, to be fair, I think a lot of this is because people are coming in on weird late notice, and like a lot of these dudes haven't fought in 6 months to a year, so it's like, who the fuck knows?
So this next fight is going to be upsetting.
Ugh. Actually, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but I think it's going to be one-sided.
I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, we're both going the same way.
Yeah,
based on how you're talking.
Gonna win.
Yeah.
But she's gonna lose because they'll give it to Gadea. Be a close decision.
Dude, that is actually maybe what is the line on Claudia Gadelia by decision? Because that might be the best bet of the night.
I'm telling you right now. Let's see. Gadea by No, that's okay. By decision is a plus 285.
Dude, that's a really good bet. What's Yan Shannon for a win?
Just like inside the distance then?
Just in general.
Oh.
Just like a flat win.
I'm trying to just see where it says flat win.
Probably towards the top.
I mean, decision is plus a hundo.
If you bet, you might have to back out of props.
Yeah, let me... Fuck.
Here, I can just Google this.
I mean, just the regular odds I have, but I don't
yeah,
really
that's what I'm saying, motherfucker.
Oh, just the standard odds.
Yeah,
I thought you said,
what's
like,
the odds for her to win?
Oh, okay. Duh. She's a minus 157 to a plus 143.
Yeah, I feel like that line is pretty fucking fair, to be fair. That's a bad way to phrase that, but you know what I mean? I feel like Yan Jian is probably going to go to decision. I like Yan Jian just to be able to end up in top control more often. Or at least to be able to push a pace and land more consistently. Because Claudia Gadelia at this point in her career is a little bit showing up. And to be fair, she's taking wild amounts of damage clean. And I think it's starting to pay a toll a little bit. She's not going down from it, but she's taking if you look back on like the Yelena fights or the Andrade fights, like she's taking wild shots that she just marched through back in the day. And I think that shit's starting to kind of add up. So yeah, I'm going Jianan by decision for sure.
Nice. So this next fight is a men's middleweight bout between Ian the Hurricane Heinisch going up against Brendan Alden Allen. This should be a scrappy fight.
I'm so high on this fight.
If I
this is probably one of my favorite fights in the card. Probably my favorite fight in the card.
If I recall, Brendan Allen has some good grappling. I think it was Heavy Hands that talked about him.
Yeah, dude, he's looked incredible. Yeah,
they were Jack Slack.
Yeah, he's looked incredible.
And I think I'm going with Brendan Allen in this.
Yeah, the big,
and I'm going with him via decision.
Right. The big question is, can he hang on in the grappling exchange with Ian Heinisch, right? So Ian Heinisch, when he starts losing striking exchanges, or if he can shut down grappling exchanges, it looks really like if he can shut down grappling exchanges against a grappler, Ian Heinisch looks real good. Or if he can engage in grappling exchanges against a striker, he looks real good. Problem is when he fights someone who can shut down one of those two games, he fucking kind of spirals a little bit. Although that Omari Akhmedov win was strong as shit. And the loss against Omari Akhmedov, but though that dominant win over Joe Mearshart, he looked decent against Omari Akhmedov. He just faded because he couldn't keep up with the pace. And I think Brendan Allen's probably gonna be similar, so I'm taking Allen by decision. But man, Brendan Allen, I think this is a very much a turning point in both these dudes' careers, I think.
Yeah.
So you got Allen by decision as well?
Yes, I do. And the odds brought to you by Seamus. We have Allen at a -125 to a -105.
That sounds about right. I mean, to be honest, it's a matter of whether or not Allen can impose a wrestling game on Ian Heinisch, because if he can't, that's just going to be a real rough night.
So take that as you will. This next fight should be interesting. Two very high-level fighters, or high-level prospects, I should say, at bantamweight, between Raoni Barcelos going up against Khalid Taha. Raoni Barcelos, the Brazilian, last time we saw him, I mean, he's 15-1, so he hasn't really lost in a while. It's been a while. This is his third official UFC fight. Last time he defeated Said Nurmagomedov. No relation to Habib, if I recall.
No, I don't think directly.
And Khalid Taha, maybe it's Khalid Taha. He beat the hype train that was Boston Salmon.
Yeah, and he had the no contest against.
And that was in April of 2019. Oh, that's right. See, whenever it's gray like that, I don't even know. I was assuming I just look for green and red. So apologies. His last fight was against Bruno Silva, and why was it no contest again? Someone get hit in the face.
I don't remember off the top of my head. Keep talking, and I'll look it up.
Either way, Khalid Taha is well-rounded, as is Raoni Barcelos. Khalid Taha is a German fighter, at least he fights out of Germany. Raoni Barcelos, I mean, looks like it's jiu-jitsu savant. Most of his victories. I don't know. He has some uppercut wins. He's got some pounds. He looks pretty well-rounded. Oh shit. Okay, this should be a fucking banger, actually, especially at bantamweight. Taha is 5'5". Barcelos is 5'7". Oh, Barcelos is 35 years old. Oh wow. And Taha is 27 years old. Interesting. Ooh. Yeah, this would be a good fight. I think I'm gonna lean the young guy, Taha. But these odds, though.
I'm trying to figure out why this was a no contest. I'm still having trouble. Is it? It must be a drug thing, right? Because he actually got the
Has to be.
Yeah, but it's just what I want to make sure is it's not like a fucking weed test or some bullshit. No, diuretics. It was technically furosemide is a substance in the class of diuretics and masking agents. Okay. I don't put much weight into that. Like a lot of times, dudes are just making that to cut weight.
I got Taha.
Amateur shit. But...
You know what? I got Taha decisions because Barcelos hasn't lost a long time. I'm not going to see if he knock him out. No real reason why. Because Barcelos, they're both well-rounded. This would be a close fight. The odds, though, don't really say that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm probably leaning. The problem I have is dude, German fighters in wrestling. That's a tough fucking in grappling. It starts to get pretty tough, and while he does have pretty wins over guys like Boston Salmon super quickly, he does have losses in Nat Armani and Takafumi Atsuka, and I honestly think that if Honey Barcelos can work a grappling game, it's going to be trouble for him. So I'm not taking by decision.
Nice. And then I got Taha by decision. The odds brought to you by Seamus is fuck, these are all over the place. This is really bad. I'll just choose one.
No, you know what? I'll go ahead and say two different ones and say the actual names of it, but one of them be Bovada, one of them is the do they have that fucking
well, now you said
AG
that one.
or
I guess
something
I'll
like
say
that?
that one because you said the name.
Yeah, say
Bovada
and say...
is Barcelos is a favorite at minus 380 to plus 290.
Okay.
And then for the random one, we got
Barcelos. Barcelos is a minus 280?
Minus 380.
380.
To a plus 290.
That seems wide, but I would still take it.
So for the random one, we got Barcelos in a minus 400 to a plus 300 of Taha.
So yeah, everybody's about the same. That's the thing is like everybody knows that if Taha has to grapple, it's gonna be a problem in that fight.
This next fight, I already have an idea who's gonna win.
Yep, is it the 90-year-old man?
Oh, I was gonna go Tanner Boser, but
so not the 90-year-old man.
No, why am I like way wrong?
No, because he's not 90, Chris.
That's what I was saying. I was just saying, Tanner Boser's gonna knock this dude out in like the first round, but
I mean, he's. To be fair, I don't know. When's the last time Andre Arlovsky was even knocked out? In 2015.
Wait, he's been knocked out or knocked out? I don't know if you're being sarcastic here. I'm like dumb right now.
No. Oh, you're right. I forgot about the Rosenstrike. Come on. It's been a while, though. Before Rosenstrike, the last time he was knocked out before Rosenstrike is fucking Stipe. Or no, it's not.
Ngannou.
Ngannou. Exactly. But that's 2017.
Yeah, that's when he was Francis before he was Ngannou.
Well, no, because that was when he was also killing everyone.
You ruined my joke. But you know what I mean.
I mean, yeah. Stipe ruined your joke, to be fair. But...
Well, I mean, touche. Yeah. And he'll ruin my joke again.
Yeah,
most likely. But maybe not. Who knows?
No, but my point being that I love Andre Arlovsky to death. Still one of my all-time favorites. How Tastes My Pee-Pee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unbeaten in MMA as far as I'm concerned. He is unbeaten in MMA with How Tastes My Pee-Pee.
That and also take care of your underwears because I'm gonna fuck you, man. That's probably the same one.
And also I would argue also you gotta put the classic Jeff Munson. You want to watch me fuck a guy on TV? Line or whatever he said. You want to watch me fuck a guy for free? I think that's what it was.
Or Joseph Benavidez. I used to fuck guys like you in high school.
Yeah. All classic, super hetero moves that MMA fighters did.
It's called a power move.
That's
bro.
right, bro, and they are very uncomfortable if you bring it up. Anyway, where are we at? Oh, right.
Brought to you by Seamus. We got Boser at a
yeah, I mean he should be a big favorite.
He's at a minus 325 to a
That's
plus
too big. That's a big favorite. Tanner Boser, while being
he's a minus 311 to a plus 269.
Dude, that's too big. Like he's beat some very impressive dudes, but also. He also lost to Cyril Gane not that long ago, and lost to heavyweights in ACB in 2018. Like, I feel like people are being a little overly hyped. Right? Oh, really? On what?
No. I'm saying, did you see who Cyril Gane is fighting next?
No, I'm saying when.
I think in like December.
Oh, who?
He's fighting fucking JDS.
Oh. What?
Yeah, already.
God, they're so bad at matchmaking.
You know what that means, though? So, barring, I imagine, Ngannou is fighting Stipe in, like, March or whatever it is.
Okay. So we're just pretending like everyone's not going to get COVID in December?
Oh, no, listen real quick. So this is what makes it fun, even though that this happens. Say Cyril Gane knocks out JDS in the first round. I guarantee you he calls out Francis Ngannou, and the main reason being Ngannou lost his former head coach and what's his name? Ferdinand Lopez.
Ferdinand,
who's the
yeah.
head coach of Cyril. Yeah, and apparently Ferdinand Lopez came out saying, "Yeah, Ngannou is being a narcissist."
We've talked about it on podcasts where he came out and said that shit where he's like, fucking.
So don't be surprised.
He doesn't want me in his corner, so fuck him. I won't be in his corner.
If Cyril Gane, or is it Gane? Maybe it's Gane. I'm not French.
It's Gane.
Cyril Gane. Excuse me.
Cyril Gane. It's Cyril Gane.
If he knocks out JD's first round, he's just gonna call Francis and he's like, "Oh, you disrespected your old coach. Fuck you." You know.
To be fair,
Which,
his
wrong,
coach,
a fun fight.
based on the stories off of his coach, I'm just gonna say, Francis doesn't have good arguments on his side, and like honestly, his coach was like, "Yeah, everything everyone was saying about Francis was true," and he kind of just like based on his played on his laurels and what he was good at and didn't really ever work to improve himself, and that's why he cut me, is because I kept trying to get him to improve himself. It's like looking back on what he's doing now, and you're like, yeah, I did see that Joe Rosenstrike fight.
He's probably like, "Fuck you, coach. I got Teddy Atlas for a promotional 2 minutes."
Yeah, but he also is like, "Oh, you know my plan for fighting Joe Rosenstrike? When he throws a leg kick, I'm just gonna flail at his face." Which, to be fair, can you pick a game plan that he had in recent memory after he left that coach that wasn't just flailing at someone's face?
No, that's a good point.
I mean, honestly, because for a little bit, like against Stipe and against dudes right after Stipe, he did have like a little bit of a game plan. And then recently he just flails at people, but he's just good at that, so he wins.
I mean, don't mention that one fight that gives me PTSD, but other than that, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Anyways, Tanner Bozer's gonna knock out Arlovsky, I think.
But then again, maybe Arlovsky is gonna win the 1400th career fight that he's had and amaze us
Either
all.
way, don't care if I'm honest. Good luck to both.
To be fair, I do if Tanner Bozer looks impressive. Because Arlovsky is a guy who's hard to look good against, notoriously.
Ask Dr. Bosa.
Yeah, I ask a lot of dudes. I mean, you can easily get fucked up by Andrei Arlovsky by just getting greedy, like so.
Yeah, ask Travis Brown.
Dude, ask half the people he's ever fought, aside from like dudes like fucking Fedor, who he got greedy against. So, yeah. Anyway, to the main event.
Yeah. I got Thiago Santos via murdering Teixeira to the retirement home.
Yeah. First round or second?
First round. It's
Yeah.
going to be really bad. It's going to be similar to... He's going to rumble him.
Yeah, it's not... That's the...
The biggest question mark is, do Santos' knees hold up, and does Teixeira not kick his knee out of his...
No.
leg?
When has Teixeira ever thrown kicks?
Oh, goddamn it. Yeah, he's a boxer first. I forgot. I get him mixed up.
No,
with
he's
the
a
one
jiu-jitsu fighter first.
I know, but he says he's a boxer.
Well, that's a... Yeah. He prefers boxing, but his actual game is jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
But, that's the problem I have is like...
via Mjolnir to the face first round.
I just don't think Glover has the foot speed or the durability to get Santos to any kind of... Even if Santos is still not to 100% capacity because of his knees, I just don't see a way where he can survive over time taking damage from Santos at range or close the distance and get it on top of him consistently over time and get a finish.
This is basically just
a hard ass.
Santos knocks him the fuck out, and he's like, Jan, don't be a pussy. Where's my rematch? I already knocked your ass out once. And he's like, all right, well, I'm fighting Adesanya, so get in line.
That's the thing with Santos. He's kind of fucked. Or whoever wins this fight is pretty fucked, to be honest. Like,
or you could just call it John Jones, which would be stupid. But
that's the problem is, not only is he not going to fight you next, he's going to fight John Jones after that if he wins. So, like, you might as well find someone in middleweight to fight again.
I know it doesn't matter, but who do you legitimately right now? If someone said you had to bet money, do you take Adesanya or Blachowicz?
I'd take Izzy.
I do too.
Just off cardio and fans. I just think fans are
how
gonna.
much do you think he bulks up? Because he's claiming he's not bulking, which I think is bullshit. I think he puts up maybe at least 5 pounds. Like, come on. Dude.
No, I don't think he does because I think his whole entire game plan.
Not even naturally. Do you think
No,
he
because
just preserves cardio.
Yeah, because Jan Blachowicz naturally gasses. So you give him.
But he's a big motherfucker.
No,
too.
Yeah, but you let him burn energy for a round and a half.
Well, no, that was my point.
And especially against a guy like Adesanya,
it's just cardio loss. Yeah.
Especially against a guy like Adesanya, he's gonna be throwing an air for a round and a half. Or
worst
worst case, he's gonna be throwing
decent reach.
Yeah, or worst case, he throws the air for a round and then takes him down. And then Adesanya is shown to be pretty good at just locking guys down MVP style and burning a lot of their energy. And then getting back up and then fucking them up. And, like, I think that is a fool's errand for Jan Blachowicz.
Ooh, Jan's got pretty long arms. But either way...
I don't think it matters. Because
I'm
I think, are the problem.
I'm not trying to give reasons for Jan being competitive against Adesanya. I think it might be some sort of competitiveness, but I still take Adesanya.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just trying to
the only way it's competitive is the grappling exchanges. Just because the weight difference and the way Jan has a very solid top game, and he's really good at implementing it, but he's not great at getting to it. A lot of times it's through clinch exchanges, which Adesanya is really good at framing off and not even engaging at all. And again, the weight difference, who knows how the fuck that'll play out. But yeah, to be fair, I think that is a fun fight. I think it is a very winnable fight, though, for Adesanya. Just like I think most light heavyweight fights are going to be for him. I've been saying since that dude came in, like, after the Derek Brunson fight, that was the one where I was like, all right, if he can get through Whitaker and if he can get through a couple of these other dudes, that he's unbeatable. And
so
he's pretty much at that point.
My timeline, because this is fun, I'll mention this quickly. I think he beats Jan. He's the double champ, whatever you want to call that bullshit. I think after that, he waits. He fights John Jones in July after this fight. Or because this fight will probably be like in March or some shit when he fights Jan. Probably in January. Because they'll put it on... It'll be in January if that McGregor.
That's what I would imagine.
Which I doubt.
Which fight's never gonna happen. By the way, have you noticed how they haven't actually officially announced that, and how it's gonna be like every Nate Diaz fight they ever talk about?
Yeah. So McGregor.
I hate everybody for talking about that fucking alleged rapist that they pretend to book every time they talk about him. It's so embarrassing.
Anyways, I think Adesanya beats Blachowicz, and then he fights Jones in July. Regardless what happens there, then he'll fight Whitaker somewhere down the line. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page about that.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're asking right now who wins between Adesanya and Jones, I'm probably betting Adesanya because he'll be the slight underdog as far as just betting goes. And I think he's
nowadays. I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said that a year or two ago.
No, and I agree.
Today,
it's based on what the striking looks like now. I'm taking Adesanya against Jones, 100%. But like, I'm not saying like
speed and feints, man. Speed and feints.
Yeah, and just more accurate
and just
quicker and
less damage taken throughout his career.
And you know what? And even if no one gets a finish, I still like Adesanya by decision. But historically, if it goes to decision, they probably still give it to Jones, even if it's like a
it'll go. Yeah, it'll be a bad. Yeah. It'll be a bad decision if it.
It'll be literally like a robbery.
No, if Adesanya only wins 2.5 rounds or 2 rounds and barely a third, he's gonna get robbed. But you got to know that moving up a weight class against a dude who notoriously wins rounds that he shouldn't, right? Like, he's one of the best in the sport at it. It's hard to even pick a second best.
And we already know, too, if Adesanya is, like, actually... Say it's, like, in the first or second round, and he's like, oh, wow, he's literally fucking Jones up. That's when Jones is like, okay, time to wrestle. And then it gets interesting. It's like, okay, well, now what's the fuck's going to happen, you know?
Well, but even then, though, like, John Jones doesn't wrestle anymore.
That's why I'm intrigued, because it's like, okay, well, then what are we gonna see? Like, are you gonna be able to take him down? Like, or are you just gonna get fucking? Because if he gets picked apart, then I think he gets knocked out. at that point, Adesanya, or it's just like some sort of TKO, like okay, you've had enough, like what happened with Ferguson and Gaethje, where you just keep getting punched in the face. Like, all right, dude, you're done.
Yeah. Either way, though, bunch of fun stuff.
I think that fight does happen.
Before we get out of here, did you see goddamn murderer Corey Anderson try and kill poor Melvin Manhoef this weekend?
I'm actually kind of sad you mentioned that, because I wanted to go the whole podcast without mentioning that happening, because fuck Bellator for that, but sure.
That was the most rich child matchmaking, where you're like,
remember how you
we have a new winner. Hey, I think I said this last week. Yeah, right?
This is my problem with Bellator.
Yeah. No, it's super legitimate.
I have nothing against Coker or any of those guys, but it's because of that.
It's bad matchmaking.
The gap is bad, dude. The skill gap is just fucked.
Yeah, and
especially at that bullshit middleweight title fight, right?
There's a bunch of people you could put him against, but not
Douglas Lima, in my opinion, is still legitimately a fantastic welterweight fighter. I still think that, but it's like you can't just go up and fight some dude who's just so much bigger than you and expect it to be competitive. It's like basically saying.
And also, the Gegard fight was just as much as I liked that fight. It's not fan pleasing at all, and they should have known that in their marketing.
You know what it's like? You get a smaller welterweight like Masvidal, and you're like, okay, not fight Adesanya, but because he's a striker.
To be fair, I liked it, but I like those kinds of close style matchups things, where it's a lot of that just was a straight style matchup deficiency.
Yeah.
A lot of that came down to Gegard has a much more well-rounded style, and he has the size advantage, so it just really shuts down a lot of Diego's game. And all
I just wish Nemkov was in the UFC. That'd be so fun.
I know. There's a bunch of Pitbull. I'd love to see the littler Pitbull.
I get those dudes confused. It's Patricio is the bigger one, I believe.
Patricio's the good one.
Wait, no, who's the tiny one? Patrici, right?
Yeah, you're right. I always mix them up, but yeah, the good one is Patricio. I don't. It's shitty to say it like that, but
why do they have to have this?
One of them's a good. Well, you know what? You're right. Idiots. It's their fault, Chris. It's their fault.
No, they're morons.
Well,
they're
to be fair,
fighters, but they're morons.
Yeah. I mean, welcome to fight.
That's my point.
Welcome to fighters, Chris.
They're very good fighters, but they're idiots.
Chris, we could say that about every fighter. You know that?
Yeah.
That's kind of our show. They're great fighters, but they're idiots.
Yeah. Someone needs to just call like Sean O'Malley should have just called himself the Weed O'Malley at that point, because he just, you know what I mean? Someone needs to just embrace what they're all about at that point. But then again, it's just
yo, the UFC will not promote you if you're the Weed, bro.
I know, but it's God damn it. Oh boy.
You know what? It's gonna try and get you to be the fucking Ben and Jerry's of the UFC. If you try and go with that bullshit. Oh, you want to be Ben or Jerry? You fuck.
Yeah, because then John Jones would be John, the Coke. Oh god. John knows beers.
I love Nose Beers. That's my favorite reference for Coke of all time. Nose Beers is the best way to reference it. It makes me happy every time I hear it.
Stupid, but great.
It's the dumbest way, but the best way. It also
my favorite is, especially if you're Game of Thrones, Jon Snow Jones.
Of course, yeah. It's lazy though. Nose Beers is beautiful. Anyway, on that note, we should probably wrap this motherfucker. You guys can find us at thesoundofviolence.com. TSOV pod on Twitter is my handle. Chris is at Chris Madaffer on Twitter, I think.
Yes.
Although he's barely ever on there.
Retweeting and liking.
I was gonna say you're better off going on Reddit and finding Chris there. What's your name on Reddit? Yeah.
It's Out of Your Element.
There you go. Yeah, he's got a sweet reference, Donnie. So look out for it. On that note. Chris, you got anything else you want to shout out before we get out of here? You got anything cool that people should be doing?
Yeah, what is it? I was going to say.
Hey, how about don't be racist? I'll go ahead and say that one off the top. Because I didn't know we needed to say that so much in 2020 in America. Because I feel like I had to say it enough in middle school that I thought we got past this. But hey, you fucks, don't be racist.
Don't be a racist. Drink responsibly. Do drugs responsibly.
Do drugs and drink with plans.
No. Just don't do drugs recklessly.
Yeah. How about this? You don't have to do drugs responsibly or drink responsibly. You just have to not do them irresponsibly. I feel like that's a big difference.
Also, shouts out to Cyberpunk being delayed again, but that means it's
but good for them. And also, it means that they are giving their fucking production team at least a little bit more breathing room, which I'm never mad at.
Honestly, it's being delayed again because of fucking COVID, bro. And they're like, oh, well, this is a massive game.
It's COVID and it's fucking... You can only do so much fucking beta testing on a game like that.
I actually can't wait for that game. And part of me is thinking, I'm going to get it for I have like the Xbox One X, so it'll be like in 4K.
On a giant open world game like that, you have to do that much beta testing because otherwise you're gonna get a fucking not GTA style like open world problem, but like all those terrible like fucking like true crime fucking what are those fucking what were those old open world games where like every mission is broken and like nothing ties correctly? Oh, Fallout. How about that entire series? That works as a reference.
I'll say this. My main thing is if you're one of those folks who are getting a PS5 or the new Xbox, big newsflash, do you have a monitor that goes above 60 frames per second or 60 hertz? Figure that out. Also, if you plan a TV, is it at least 4K or 8K?
Oh, yeah.
If it's not, you got a lot more money you need to spend there. Because if you're getting a PS5 and you're on a 1080p TV, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you should literally get an old Xbox.
Literally there are so many people that don't
or PC, dude. You get a PC that will do everything up until 2000.
I'm getting a PS5 probably in like March, right before the new God of War 5 or whatever it's called comes out. But guess what? I'm not saying I have an 8K TV. Fuck that. I'm probably gonna have a monitor that's 4K, but that goes like 120. You know what I mean? Because that's what I want the frame rate. But at least so. And that's what I get.
And also, we should note, Chris is a giant fucking tech nerd.
Does 8K look sick? But first of all, there won't be any 8K monitors, and even if they are, they'll be like $1,000 or $2,000. Fuck that.
Yeah, we're like
no. We're still in the beginning stages of 8K.
Yeah, what are those giant fucking built-in monitors that were like room sized? I watched Jumanji on that for the first time ever when I was getting babysat, and it was the coolest experience of my life. You remember those things, Chris? They were like fucking 8x8s kind of TV sets where you're like, it was like a built-in fucking giant cabinet where you're like, what the I got babysat at one of those things and I watched Jumanji on it and I was like, oh my god, I want to fucking number one, Reese Witherspoon's getting it, and number two, I want to hang out with Rob Williams stat.
Yeah. Also, another shout out to anyone getting new TVs or monitors. The TV I got with my brother, I didn't realize it had a game mode, which is at a native like 60 frames per second.
Yeah. Most TVs actually do nowadays.
Yeah, and my brother, who's almost finally done with the Red Dead Redemption 2, classic and masterpiece of the game.
Dude, how deep did he go on that?
Kyle is the worst at playing single player games.
Okay, to be fair, I'm not much better since I still never finished.
He's
Spider-Man.
in like chapter 5, and I don't know how far you ever got in the game.
Chapter 5 lasts like an hour. There's not much.
That's what I'm telling him. That's what I'm telling him to do all the side stuff first. Cause wait, did you finish Red Dead 2?
Yeah.
Okay, and never mind.
I got all the way to the prologue.
Yeah, and he's not going to watch
the
this.
outro,
He doesn't know what I mean.
it is. Yeah,
and he won't even listen to this, so I could talk to you about that. But because like I just tell him, I'm not going to say prologue. I just go, oh yeah, chapter 6, and then
by the way,
chapter
spoiler.
7. Yeah, right. Yeah. But yeah, the gameplay's great on our fucking TV. Holy shit, bro! It's like you're playing on a monitor. It's actually impressive. I'm probably gonna hook up MLB The Show on that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
dude.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's actually probably pretty actually. And to be fair with PlayStation, especially Sony San Diego, they're really good with frame rates. Like they are one of the best.
Because I play on the Pro, and yeah, it's fucking great.
I mean, well, no, but Sony San Diego,
even without that,
always since the PlayStation 1 has been 60 frames a second on everything, no doubt, every time. Like everything from ATV games to the fucking MLB games.
And you know what's funny too? I had someone ask me, they're like, "Bro, why are you getting a PS5 when you can get a PC?" I'm like, first of all, I mean, every PlayStation exclusive you can't get on PC or Xbox.
True, but
that's it.
Good point, but to be fair, the PC you could get, it's gonna be more than $500. If you have a PC and you're just doing an upgrade, like a graphics card upgrade, it's probably like I'm probably gonna upgrade my graphics card rather than do the.
And this is the thing.
PS5
if I get it, I'm never getting a new Xbox. I would get a PC and make it amazing before I get an Xbox because all the new Xbox games are gonna be on PC. That's it.
Wow, too. But also, I should shout out. I did just recently buy a handheld retro gaming kind of fucking super sketchy gray market thing. The RG351P from Abernac is essentially it can play everything up to right around N64. It does PlayStation 1 fine.
Nice.
N64 is where it starts, and Dreamcast where it starts getting a little sketchy just on the audio and stuff. But that'll probably improve with software upgrades. But everything below that, it runs buttery smooth. It's basically the size of a cell phone. Dual joystick. You got full D-pad, which is gorgeous, and it works beautifully. Buttons, triggers. It's fucking awesome.
So, I know we're
like
we're
$80
not talking about anything MMA. I will end on one thing. My original N64 still works. I have it hooked up to my new TV. I bought the original.
That's right.
Smash
I forgot.
Brothers.
Yo, I was gonna say because you guys, you and Trevor both had N64 since like back in the day, right?
So I bought the original Super Smash Brothers. It's not it's not the actual game. It's a game someone made. They just replicated
No, yeah,
it.
yeah. I got you. It's the ghetto.
I would
like
have
the ghetto
no
ROM
fucking
hack
clue. It's
version.
not even the real game. I was just playing with my brother the other day. Fucking so much fun.
Yeah.
Especially when you do like two people versus a computer or you know what I mean? And what's crazy is since the controllers are so simplistic, I argue that the original Super Smash Bros. Is way harder than Melee, the other ones. Because you only have like 3 buttons.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say there's no buttons to use.
I was like, dude, I'm getting my ass handed to me. I was like, holy fuck. I was really like, you're like, oh shit, how do you jump?
That's
You're like, you either use the C buttons, which are trash, or you
Yeah,
just use the
exactly.
fucking one joystick. Like, apparently, one of the best characters besides Fox plays is Kirby, because you could just use the stick and just move up and just spam. But I digress. Either way, that doesn't matter. We should get the fuck out of here. So
anyway,
yeah.
Been a lot of fun. We've been talking video games for almost as long as we've been talking MMA, it feels like. But
that's what the quarantine does to you, man.
And also, hey, yo, me and Chris be having fun, y'all. Also, I'm moving next week, full disclosure. So we'll see how our show goes next week. I'm not confident we'll even do one. Well, at least I'll tell you this: we'll at least do a commentary because I can make that happen. I don't know that we're gonna do a full show next week. If I remember right, the card sucks, right, Chris?
Well, that's now that you say that.
Yeah, why don't we pull this up?
Yeah,
I remember it being not good.
Wait, who's fighting Bellator? Oh, one of the Pitbull guys. Patricio.
Oh, next week?
Is that the good one? It is.
Yeah.
He's the featherweight
Patricio's a good one.
Ooh, okay. That might be fun. Other than that, you have one... Oh, wait, John Lineker's fighting in the main event of one? Interesting.
Interesting.
And then you have, yeah. Oh, the main event next week is... Well, I'll be honest. I already know who's going to win, but sure. You got Islam Makhachev, which is also known as the next...
Oh, it's the Leon Edwards fight?
No, this is versus Rafael dos Anjos. Leon Edwards is fighting Hamza in December.
Oh, right. Leon Makhachev and Hamza. I confused.
So Islam
To be
Makhachev.
fair. Come on.
Yeah. Leon Scott.
Yeah, that was the problem. All right. Well, on that note, next weekend's card maybe we'll cover. I don't know that we're going to cover that.
Probably not.
It looks pretty fucking rough, to be
honest.
If I'm gonna be honest
with
you.
But we'll recap it.
Dude, actually, no. You know what? We're not going to cover this card, considering who's in the co-main event.
Oh, never mind then. We're good. All right.
So yeah, next week we're going to do a commentary of Chris. You want to do a commentary of Pit Fighter? What's that fucking movie I bought? Hold on. I got it. Hold on. Give me a second. That's right. Hector Echevarria's own, which I finally ripped, and we can finally do. Confessions of a Pit Fighter. Would you like to do that next?
Depending on the day.
That would be like a Sunday or something. I don't give a fuck. We can do it any day.
I'll try to get Kyle to join us again.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, I'm figuring for that we could do it any day.
Because Kyle has not seen a Hector Echevarria movie. He admitted that the last movie we just did was trash, which is great. I'm like, bro, I'm glad you admitted that, but you still have to talk more
Kyle
shit.
has started admitting bad movies are bad.
He's never seen anything on the level of Hector Echevarria, so I think it'll finally get him to be like,
I think he'll enjoy it because that one, if I remember right, does have Flava Flav in it.
And Hector Echevarria has a lot of fucking titties though too in all his movies. So
all the titties, yeah. No, there's titties galore. If there's two things in the Hector Echevarria movies, it's bad acting and titties. So
goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and often his hand does go in hand with the titties. All right. On that note, yeah, we're gonna watch bad movies next week. It sounds like. Because this next card next week, I don't know, man. Like, Islam Makhachev RDA is dope, but the rest of this card is not so dope. Ashley Yoder, Miranda Granger is kind of interesting. Kay Hansen, I always like seeing fight, even though, well, her politics has gotten a little better. Randa Marcos, unfortunately, is fighting, well, Kanako Murata is fighting Randa Marcos, who she was originally supposed to fight. It was supposed to be a way better fight. I forget who. Oh, it was supposed to be Olivia Natasuza originally, which is going to be dope. So, yeah, next week this card's going to be alright, but it sounds like we're probably going to be doing commentary. So, I don't know. Let us know. If you guys are interested in us doing a breakdown, which why would you be? But if you are, let us know and we'll do it. How about that? And if not, we will absolutely go watch this Hector Echevarria Confessions of a Pit Fighter movie. Or, Chris, we do also have another movie that we have not reviewed, which the director got mad at some people who reviewed it, which was, oh God, what's the bad name?
That sounds amazing. Now I want to do it.
All right, you want to do that one instead?
Well, if the director got mad, he's not insecure. That sounds hilarious.
We'll put up a poll this week, and whoever wins, we'll do that one. How about that?
That works.
Beautiful. Well, everybody go vote on our poll. We will tweet it out, and until then, Chris, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I hope you voted. For anyone who did not vote, and you're talking shit about a certain political candidate, then shut the fuck up because you didn't vote. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. On that note.
I mean.
Or just burn it all down, Pokey. Burn the motherfucker down.
To the ground.
On that note, we love y'all, and we're glad you're here. Next week's gonna be kind of chaotic because, like I said, I'm moving, but we'll make it happen. So, till then, everybody, go do something decadent. We love you. Appreciate you being here. Yeah. Bye.
liked by the sound of violence.